Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for a live reaction and player ratings live stream following Luton Town 2, Chelsea 3. Oh my days, did we have to make that close, didn't we? No, 3-0 up. You can't just, have an easy, comfortable win. We can't sit here and say, why is everybody struggling against Luton? Don't understand this at all. Well, now I understand, because Luton put in 36 crosses and our defense has absolutely no clue what to do about crosses. My God, were we lucky. How often did they hit the bar? 2 times? 3 times? My days. Ross Barkley scoring, the most inevitable thing I've ever seen. My God. But, it's going to be a weird one today because we're all a bit annoyed by quite how bad that was, in particular at the end. But even overall, it wasn't a particularly great performance outside of 3 very good goals. But at the end of the day, mate, I said this after the last game already. We don't win a lot this season. I'm not going to sit here and after what I've experienced in the last 2 years, sit here and not be happy when we win a game. We never win a game. I'm going to make sure I'm happy when we win a game. Do you know what I mean? But my days. Pice, I'll start with you. First of all, thank you for joining me. Very much appreciate it. Explain your feelings, really, mate. Is it happy that we won? Is it overall the frustration at how bad that was at the end? Or is it relief that we did get it over the line, a little bottle it at the end? How do you feel, mate?
Yeah, it's a weird one to analyse. I'm more relieved than anything, to be honest. I'm still not happy with the performance, but it is one of the toughest grounds in the league. I know they're in the relegation zone, but they do make it really tough. And I was surprised we were managed to be 2-0 up and then 3-0 up. I thought the game was over, and then it kind of had that crazy ending. Luton Town's crossings were pretty insane, and we know from the last game and a few games before as well, we do struggle a bit with crosses. We do, and I think I put a tweet out. I mean, if any of the owners and directors want a literal living proof example, not that they shouldn't have already, but they should have plenty. But if they want a literal factual example of how we need more experience and composure and in big moments and players that have been there and done it in this team, just go and watch that ending. Go and watch the last 20 minutes of that game. Watch Thiago Silva and watch the rest of the players. Like, these guys were rattled. These guys were like, our players didn't know what to do. We're just booting it. It was panic stations. If that game had gone on 5-10 minutes longer, Luton would have 100% scored and equalised. So, I feel like today was we got away with one a little bit, but we also had some great finishes, and we shouldn't forget that we did have some really nice goals individually. I thought all 3 of our goals were really good. So it is what it is. I think Pochettino hasn't really shown us anything to be sort of positive towards the second half of the season after January, but after December. But we'll see what happens in the market, and we'll see where we go from there. I think the next sort of month's going to be really pivotal, obviously, because we are expected to get into the Carabao Cup final, but we still can't take that one lightly. And we've got FA Cup game, and we've got more important Premier League games. So yeah, I don't really know how I feel, to be honest. A bit relieved, a little bit annoyed that we just can't seem to get a nice result nowadays. Like, even the last game, obviously penalty. It's like. Yeah, it's just a bit annoying, but you'd rather grind these results and at least sort of get wins than, not. So I guess that's the takeaway. We have to be somewhat positive.
I agree with you, mate. I actually do agree with you. I mean, there are a lot of things from this game, even about Pochettino, where you seriously have to ask questions again. My problem personally is that with this whole potentially selling Gallagher, potentially selling him to Spurs, I now feel personally, emotionally inclined to back Pochettino all the way, because he seems to be the only one with a brain at this football club to not sell our best player this season. I know he was poor today, but we'll get into that. But because of that, I now feel like I have to back Poch. But then I see what he does there at the end, and I'm like, at 2-0 up, obviously, he brought in Kunku on. And I get the idea, but he brought him on up front. And it was the most inevitable thing ever, that the later the game would be, the less Luton have to lose, the more they'd throw forward, the more we would need an out ball. Sometimes you can't always pass it out from the back. You can't always dribble through everyone, especially when you don't have someone like bloody Kovacic anymore, who was so good at doing exactly that. And what does Poch do? Take the striker off, the physical striker, and put in Kunku, who's not a striker and only recently come back from 6-7 months out injured, to play up front. Now, all of a sudden, for the last 20 minutes of the game, we couldn't put a ball long and ever keep it. We lost it every time. And What is that in-game management? Again, as a manager, shouldn't you realize that Luton will throw everything forward? So you're going to have to punt it sometimes. And either Broja or Jackson will be better equipped to somehow hold it up and waste a little bit of time. That sense, relieve some pressure off your defense than Nkunku up front. That decision is just so baffling to me. I'm like, how does a manager think that's a good idea? I mean, at least he brought Alfie Gilchrist on at the end. By the way, I've now realized how to pronounce his flipping name. So cheers, John Terry, for that. John Terry, how you pronounced it. I was calling him Joe Christ and all sorts of things. Gilchrist. So, my Lord and Savior, I think you should start every game, to be honest. But, Dams, thank you for being here. I appreciate you very much. Same question to you as I asked to Pies to begin with. Feelings? Is it more the relief that we did win? Is it the annoyance we nearly bottled it? Or is it different, I suppose?
It's a mix of everything, to be honest, because for at least 65, 70 minutes, I thought we held out quite well. I thought 3-0 up. This will be probably one of the easiest sort of match reviews and match ratings you have to do on your channel, bro. And like that last 20 minutes, honestly, was carnage. Like out of nowhere, Poch obviously takes Broja off where I disagree with that change. I didn't think that was the right change to make. And I can't remember anything that Nkunku did. Obviously, I'm not blaming him for anything, but that's Poch's decision. And I have to disagree with that, to be honest. And yeah, as you said, bro, with the outball and stuff, like you can't always keep passing it around. You need to have that outball out there for someone to get you out of trouble. Like even if you say moving Jackson up front for the last 20 minutes, at least we've got a presence up there. Like fair enough, his hold-up play was shit, but most of the game, but at least he could have done a job for us at least last 20 minutes. But yeah, I think it's a combination of sort of feeling annoyed, relieved, but then also proud at the fact that we got out of this winning. Like when was the last time we had like 2 wins on the bounce? I generally can't remember. So and it's a good way to end the year, I guess, on a win, and then we take it to the next game and just go from there. But one thing I'd like to say as well is we were clinical as well. That's something we haven't seen of us from recently. And Cole Palmer, wow, what a player.
Yeah.
I remember myself, Mo, and I think a few others as well, just like we were like, well, why the hell did we sign Cole Palmer for 40 million? Like this guy can't even get to City's team. He's a reject. Like why the hell did
Aaron,
we sign him?
He needs to hold that. Remember Aaron when we signed Cole Palmer?
Yeah,
He was saying bloody. Who was the guy that Spurs signed from? What was he, Forest? I forget his name. Who's that?
Brandon Johnson.
Yeah, he was saying he's miles better than Cole Palmer.
But honestly, that third goal, I put a tweet out. Cole Palmer's goal was reminiscent of Luis Suarez's goal against Newcastle. Obviously, without the chest down and the chest down for 40 yards, but I thought that was so reminiscent. The way he took it around the keeper, twinkle-toed his way through and just absolutely put it in for the third goal. And I thought that was so good of him. And then Alfie Gilchrist as well, man. Shout out to him as well. That tackle at the end, honestly, like had that cross gone in, I generally thought it would have been 3-3. So, and then, yeah, literally as soon as that tackle was made, the referee blew the whistle. So, yeah, that was vital as well. But yeah, man, just honestly relieved, a bit annoyed, but happy at the same time that we've won a game again.
There you go. I will get to that comment from Ousty. I will get to that, bro. You didn't win a long ball anyway, type vibe. I will get to that. But first, welcome, Mo. Thank you for coming on. I feel like it's been a hot minute since we've had you on a player rating stream, so I appreciate it very much, mate. I texted Mo, and during the game, he was like, because he hadn't replied, and during the game, he was like, I'm there, bro. I'm like, where? In Luton or on the stream? So I'm glad you're on the stream. For you, you probably would have been buzzing if you wasn't Luton today. But same question, I suppose, to the boys. What are the feelings like, mate? Is it relief about that we did get over the line? Is it annoyance that we made it so difficult from 3-0 up? Is it happiness that we won back-to-back league games and God knows, you know, we've outside of Wolves, we've had a fair few good results in recent times now, which is compared to the 3 weeks before that, an improvement. But then again, the performances, yeah, I mean, last game wasn't great. Today it wasn't great. Even if we scored 3 great goals, the overall performance, I don't think was particularly brilliant, not in the first half and not in the second half. So what is the overriding feeling for you, bro?
And it's a conflicting feeling. First of all, it's good to be back, boys. So I'm happy to be here as always. And honestly speaking, if I was at the weigh-in today, I think I would have lost my goddamn mind, especially after that second goal went in. Yeah. I think that last 20 minutes for me was probably one of the most nerve-wracking. Like the feeling I had was, I know it's not the same stakes, but I had that same feeling like when I was watching us play against Man City in that Champions League final, and we need to just hold on for this 1-0 victory, like that type of situation.
How far we've fallen to go from
I
Man City
know.
in the Champions League final to flipping Luton.
Look. It sounds crazy, but I'll explain exactly why I say it. Luton Town is a tough away ground to go to. No, make no mistake about it. But when we were cruising at 3-0, I'm thinking, yo, I'm going to be able to speak with my chest today. Like, I'm going to be able to tell rivals.
That's when Mo texted me, yeah, he's coming on. He didn't see it coming up. We nearly ball it.
I'm thinking, we're not even playing that well, but we've managed to somehow score 3 goals. Like, I don't know what's going on. But today, out of all days, I'm like, what a flicking, like, it's just a good blessing to have to end the year. And then the game just turns on its head. And as soon as they scored that first goal, I said, guys, the floodgates have opened. I just hope we don't allow a second goal to go in. The second goal goes in. And at that point, I'm just like, yeah, I've lost my head. I can't even imagine what these players are going to play like now. And honestly speaking, and I'm so glad Madueke's first answer to when being interviewed by TNT Sports, is him saying we've made it more difficult than it needed to be. And I'm like, yep, you're absolutely right. We have. And that's exactly how I feel about this game. It's when you're 3-0 up, you just need to control, slow down the game, make it a little bit more nasty to play as a game. And we generally could have coasted. But instead, what we were trying to do was try and force these things in terms of us scoring another goal. And I'm like, guys, no, that's not game management. That's just terrible mindset now. Like, you don't need to. 3-0, the game is yours. Just literally don't concede. Play for that clean sheet now. And we just simply didn't. And it's frustrating to watch, but I'm glad we got the result, because there are games, guys, where we have dominated XG, GA, wherever, everything that we needed to flip in and need to dominate on from a statistical point of view, we did, and we still managed to lose those games. So for once, it's nice to see that, hey, we may not on paper not have deserved this win based on what XG and all of that stuff is saying. But let's be frankly honest, bro. I'm just glad we got the win. And I think for me, the most important and thing to take away from here is that was a confidence booster for some of these players, especially the ones on the score sheet, just to let them know, hey, like, you can contribute. It's weird because I feel like when you're watching these types of games, what people tend to watch out for is, these crazy performances where, like, we need to be this mind-blowing team. And I'm like, guys, we are so bad as a team right now that Pochettino has a lot to answer for that. Even when I'm looking at Palmer do what he did today, I can't even give Pochettino credit. I'm just looking, I'm like, Palmer, that's all you, brother. Like, you didn't get coached to do some of these things. So some of these things are literally naturally things you possess because of the coaching and the actual work that has been put into you at the Man City. We're just lucky that we're reaping the rewards for it. Personally, Damish, I just want to say, I never said that this guy is a reject, so I don't know who said that. I just want to make it very clear.
I swear you did, bro. I swear you did on the group chat. Was you or Aaron? I don't remember.
Wasn't me.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because for me, it was more so like I wanted
Kudus
and Olise and these other players more than him. But one thing I did say is I do prefer Palmer over Jerky, the Leon player.
Oh,
that I did. Okay. At least I knew that much. But it just, the Palmer one came out of nowhere. So I was like, I don't know how to feel about celebrating Palmer, but I'm so glad he's proven me wrong. I underestimated the signing. He has been a vital player in that team, comes back from suspension, gets what he gets for us today, and he's a key vital player of the squad. And it's nice to see a young player treat themselves the way that they're supposed to, in terms of like play with the maturity of someone that is experienced, someone that wants it, someone that is actually here to contribute. And that's where I disagree with Poch about saying, these players are young and blah, blah, blah. It's too late, brother. You said we're all about winning at Chelsea. You created these expectations. Now these players are going to be demanded to perform to those standards, or they're going to get cussed out.
Yeah, there you go. Something I said before you came on was that I didn't understand why you bringing Kunku on and play him up front to when you get pressure at the end of this game. It was 2-0 at the time, so there was always that possibility that could happen, that you take the out ball away from you. Now, Ousty says Broja didn't win one long ball. Not quite true. He did win a couple, but it's true. He was poor overall at holding the ball up. He was poor overall today, as was Jackson, right? Let's not kid about. But you could still see that as soon as he wasn't on the pitch anymore, the long balls just either, first of all, they weren't happening anymore. Not Petrovic, not anyone just punted it, which I don't know if that's psychological. They're like, we only have a Kunku up front, can't punt it now. Or whatever the reason is. But Broja would most certainly make sure he would barge into people, try to nick the ball away and not be physically, completely outdone like an Nkunku is. Honestly, I didn't even. We'll look at it later, but I didn't even see Nkunku touch the ball. I'll be perfectly honest. I didn't see him. Like the whole time, that was completely pointless. I mean, I'll get to this comment by Ashraf about what Pochettino said as well. But let's just bring up the lineup for now. And then
also shout out Petrovic, by the way, because that save, man, was ridiculous as well.
I mean, we will continue in a minute later, so I'm not sure how much it
I just had to get out.
It's still, man. He did very well considering.
Absolutely, I do agree. So this was the lineup we went with. Jackson at left wing, no Sterling, no Mudryk. Mudryk was on a bench and not injured, but an unused sub. So what does that tell you? Maybe he is a little bit injured. But Sterling was an unused sub, even though he was fit. As far as we know, maybe he has some sort of illness or whatever, but obviously missed the last game with suspension, and now an unused sub, which is kind of crazy because it doesn't seem like Poch to like drop a player for not squaring a ball in front of goal. That doesn't seem like a Poch thing to do, but maybe I'm wrong. Madueke starting, like I say, Jackson left wing, Palmer as the 10. Of course, the same double pivot again because Caicedo and Gallagher are the only ones fit, but Enzo did make a return to the squad and did come on late in the game, even though, I'll be perfectly honest, like Nkunku, didn't really notice Enzo in the whole time that he was on the pitch. So that was that. And the back four, I guess what you probably would have expected. Thiago Silva coming back into the team after getting rested in the last one. Colwill, of course, to the left back and Gusto right back. Pice, what did you make of the team? Like, I think Jackson at left wing is probably the most shocking one here. But then again, all of us have been so critical of Sterling that if we assume Mudryk wasn't fit to start, which I do assume, then I'm like, he kind of decided between Jackson and Sterling at left wing. And on the one hand, I'm like, it is kind of mental to pick Sterling at left wing over Sterling. So Jackson at left wing over Sterling, sorry. But at the same time, we complained about it so much about Sterling, it needs to be dropped. I'm not even sure in hindsight we can moan that much at Poch for deciding to go with this. Or how do you see the lineup, Pice?
It's probably the lineup I wanted to see. Apart from, I'd personally have played Jackson up front, and then maybe Sterling on the left, or obviously Mudryk wasn't fully fit. But yeah, I would have still played. I know Sterling's been dreadful, but I do feel at times we could have done with him, to win fouls and stuff. I don't think Jackson was doing very well. But he's back to goal a lot of the time. The only good moment he actually had, funnily enough, was when he got the assist to Palmer, which was nice. But overall, I'm not a fan of him there, to be honest with you. I don't know. Some people like it, but I don't know. Maybe it was just the game today, but yeah, I don't think it worked very well over the course of 90 minutes. But the rest of the team was fine in my opinion. I was so glad to see Madueke start. I don't think you could have dropped him after, or not played him after the Palace game. And I mean, the rest was pretty much expected, wasn't it? Badiashile got like a injury precaution, so
I didn't even know that. When did that come out?
Nathan said it when the lineup came out. Nathan Gissing.
Was Badiashile? I didn't really read the subs bench that well. Was he not on the bench either?
No, he stayed at Cobham as a precaution. So
okay,
but yeah, the rest of the lineup was expected. The names.
There you go. Dom's similar thoughts on the lineup. That outside of Jackson left wing, it was kind of as expected. But what do you make of that one? I mean, EPL turf thinking Jackson was good today. Not sure what good is in your books, but fair dues. Did you, in hindsight, do you agree with that decision? Because obviously you were one of the people that defended Sterling a bit more than others. So what do you think of Sterling not getting in the team when being fit and no other winger playing? On his position anyway. Yeah,
I think the rest of the team explains itself, to be honest. Cole was obviously going to start at left back. We all knew that. But yeah, I think the surprising one was Jackson. Yeah, obviously Sterling played that howler, and obviously that's unforgivable. Like, he should have been taken off at that point. Even the second half against Newcastle in the Cup, he was dreadful then as well. But when you have Sterling fit and ready, it's kind of strange that you play a striker at left wing instead of not a winger. And Pies is right about Sterling sort of winning fouls. I thought he would have won fouls much better than, say, a Jackson would have, because, like, apart from that assist, bro, he didn't do anything. Had a couple of nice dribbles here and there and stuff, like through the middle, laid it off a couple of times. But apart from that, this Jackson thing at left wing, I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I think the best time to sort of build confidence in that position for him would be, say, Preston in the Cup next week. Like, if I saw that Jackson was playing left wing.
Is he still even going to be here then? Isn't he already off to AFCON by then?
No. Oh, is he off then? Okay. Right, fair enough. Okay, that's
Wasn't this his last game before leaving? I thought
possibly so. Yeah,
I'm
but I
not sure,
guess
really.
future later on, after AFCON, if we still get a team in FA Cup that are like much lower than us, then I guess it's a good time to experiment there and build some confidence. But yeah, I didn't think Jackson was that good today, to be honest with you, and it's kind of strange not putting Sterling on at least for the second half or at least half an hour. But I guess that's Poch just demanding the best from the group of players, to be honest, by being resilient and saying, scoring the ball, not scoring the ball, resulting in you being benched, because it did cost us the game ultimately against Wolves. So yeah.
It's an interesting one because there's a few people in the chat. EPL Turf, there's a couple of others, can't see who it was, not Jay maybe, that do say Jackson was good. Like, honestly, please, guys, elaborate as to why you think he was good. I'm not saying he was necessarily a 0 or a 2 out of 10, but I think good outside of the assist is a stretch. Like, what did he really do?
Sorry, but also at the end as well, I think that tackle he made at the end as well was
that was really good. That's a good point. That was really good.
That's true.
Very
That's
important.
true, actually. Now you guys
I was surprised that was him actually that did it, because I thought no, Jackson's going to give away a penalty. He's going to give away a penalty, but then all of a sudden wins the foul for us. Like, I think that's the second good thing he did. That's probably why people were saying he had a good game. But apart from those two moments, he didn't really do anything. So
there you go. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, like I say, I'm not saying he was awful, but at being an attacker, he wasn't very good. He did, get himself about. He did try to link up play. He did win some fouls on some occasions. He flopped over a little bit, but he also won some fouls in good situations. So there was certainly good things he did. I don't even disagree with that. But like, he didn't create chances. He didn't score chances outside of that one assist. I am aware, but the game is more than one moment, right? So, but Mo, coming to you, thoughts on the team? Obviously, mostly we've so far highlighted Jackson at left wing rather than Sterling. Is that the one thing you want to pick out as well, or is there anything else that wasn't as you'd expected? Or
I think based on the players that were available to us, I'm not really surprised with the lineup. I thought the lineup was fine. And the only thing that surprised me was Jackson and Broja, but I didn't realize the way they were going to be used is the way that we ended up using them, where Jackson ends up on the left. Surprisingly, I'm on the other side, guys. I thought Jackson actually had a decent game today. And yes, he had a very frustrating moment where, he's playing too much to try and get a foul, or he's had moments where he's just allowing certain things to get the better of him, or he's overdoing some little things. But overall, I'm starting to see a little bit of a progress in his actual play, and he's starting to do the right things, especially from a combination perspective, especially from making runs and him staying on side. There's so much things that I can give him credit. His hold-up play today on that side, despite being isolated quite a lot of the times, I thought there's a lot that
terrible,
I genuinely...
bro. I thought his hold-up play was shocking today. He lost the ball.
He got worse over the game, over the course of the game. He got worse at it. But honestly, I generally thought he did a lot better. For me, Broja was the one that I was just like, I don't know what you're offering us today, other than we can cross the ball to you, but there's nothing actually happening. And I
didn't even really cross it to him anyway, if we're honest.
No, we didn't. But honestly, there was moments where he had the ball. There was a point I remember that he got put through on the left, and it was him and the defender, and somehow the ball ends up in front of the defender, and he ends up falling to the ground. And I'm just like, bro, what are you doing, my brother? Like, I generally want you to succeed here, but that's not Chelsea quality. That's not what I expect to see. And if that's Jackson, guys, Jackson gets crucified. But for whatever reason, I do think.
But can I ask you, what did Jackson do in attack? Like, when you compare it to like Madueke or Palmer, getting themselves in positions, shooting, taking people on, Jackson didn't do any of that. He was never at the far post to arrive for a ball. Like, again, his hold-up play, I'm kind of in the middle of Mo and Pies, but I'm like, I think he was good enough at it, I would say.
He got worse over the game, though. I would agree with that intent with what Pies is saying.
As a striker that played on the wing, I expect attacking impetus, right? And getting in the box and, being a person there. Like, we should have two strikers on the ball. I fully agree that Broja was really poor. But that doesn't, I don't know. Like, I just didn't think Jackson did anything outside of our own half that was particularly great. Like, again, held the ball up okay, laid it off a few times okay. But I feel like he needs to do a bit more than that. But
He drifted into the middle quite a few times with the ball where he held up the play and literally tried to get into the middle, tried to link up play. There's moments where they didn't go off him. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he got it perfect every single time, but what I am going to say is that I think this was not one of his worst performances. I think this was actually one of his decent performances. He's still a frustrating player. Don't get me wrong. He does some certain things that honestly it pisses you off. Like when he was playing for certain fouls, I'm like, what are you doing, brother? Like you literally had the time. You held the play off perfectly. There's passing options near you, and you're trying to play for a foul. Why? Why are you doing that? Those are the moments where he pisses me off more than anybody else does, because he does it a little bit too often for my liking. Stop playing for the foul. We're Chelsea Football Club, bro. We are here to win games. I don't want you to start looking for this ref to give us decisions. More than likely, he actually won't. So for me, like when I look at the whole lineup, generally speaking, where I thought there would be problems was actually going to be Jackson being a problem today. And I actually felt like, no, Broja is the one that I was more disappointed by being on the field today. And I don't think the subs that we made helped us. That's where I do agree with you guys, because the subs we made, when we made them, generally speaking, it's like the team was like, yeah, we've won the game. We're 3-0 up and, you know, life is good over here. And we just got complacent. And as soon as that first goal goes in, it's like we go into this regressive mindset of like not knowing exactly how to play the ball, not know how to slow down the game. And I'm just like, guys, what are you doing? All of these things are things that you possess, but suddenly you're scared. Suddenly the moment or the crowd is going against you and you lot are losing all freaking composure. That's why Thiago Silva shaking his head at full time despite us winning. I understood why he's shaking his head, because we made the job far too hard. But from a lineup perspective, I generally thought, based on the team that we had available, outside, I can't really be too mad at this. There's plenty of players and options on the bench for us to put in and make a difference with. Is it weird that Raheem Sterling didn't even get a minute in this game? Yeah, a little bit, yes. But at the same time, I'm like, guys, Sterling has been putting in stinkers and not getting punished enough. So for me, I'm like, I was happy he was watching from the bench. I'm like, yes, watch these other guys be given.
I don't necessarily have an issue with it. Go on.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I don't necessarily have an issue with when you, well, I don't know, if like forcing, like dropping Sterling as some sort of punishment or whatever the situation was, maybe for getting himself suspended, maybe for not swearing it, who knows, maybe a combination of all things. The one thing I will say is Broja was up front alone against 3 centre-backs. If Jackson was up front alone against 3 centre-backs, I think it would have been equally as dreadful as Broja was. So I think it's whoever the striker was, that was a tough job today. And the winger made it a lot easier with the way Luton play, in terms of if you're not necessarily going forward, you're not having that difficult of a day as a winger in a game like today. But that doesn't mean he didn't have a decent job. I just find it weird how some people in the chat react like, maybe you weren't here yesterday, but like me and Charlie spent a good 20, 25 minutes yesterday literally talking about how the criticism of Jackson has been unfair. And in the grand scheme of things, he's not been that bad. And if people expected that much more, well, then that's kind of on you and not really on Jackson. If you expected that much more from a 22-year-old that's had one season of playing football a lot, like, that's kind of your own fault if you expected that much more from him, to be perfectly honest. It's a different question that it's back to the recruitment team as usual, where you're like, he shouldn't have been signed to be the starting striker. That's a whole separate issue. But that's not Jackson's fault. That is. Do you know what I mean? Can't blame Jackson for that. But anyways, before we get into player ratings, I want to bring up a few of the stats because, boy, it looks crazy. Look at the XG. 2.66 for Luton and 1.48 for Chelsea. We had less possession in the end. We had somehow more shots on target. But the crazy thing is, I can't remember the exact minute, but there was a point in the game, maybe 60, 70 odd minutes into the game, where Luton didn't have a single shot on target, and the commentators were talking about that. And in the end, they had 6 and an XG of 2.66. That's mental. And it shows you what a good goal Madueke's goal was, by the way, the fact that its XG is 0.05. That's crazy. Where's Palmer's goal? Let me find it.
Palmer's is lower, right?
It had even less, 0.04.
Yeah, I thought so.
That's crazy. And what was his last one? The last one had big XG, but obviously it had big XG after he rolled it past the goalie and stopped for the defender. But my days, looking at these stats, less shots overall, less big chances. I mean, like I say, less possession, same passing accuracy.
The important stat is fouls. The important
they woke up in it. That's it. They woke up. Once they started to smell the blood, I swear to God, Luton Town woke up. And I was just like, whoa, this is an entirely different game. Because I'll be honest, we kept Luton quiet for most of the game, especially a lot of the aerial threat stuff. It got to a certain point, and I was like, damn, like I generally thought we would struggle. Maybe that's the jinx that I created. I don't know, man. But I was like, we're having far too much of an easy time. This should be a struggle. And as soon as that first goal went in, it was, oh my God, like I've never seen anything just switch in momentum so quickly. And you're like, we're about to lose from being 3-0 up. We're about to lose and drop 2 points at the very minimum here. Like, it's so bad.
I think it's from the offside goal as well.
Explain to me just quickly, what is XG on target and why is that 3.14?
Great question. I ain't got a clue. This is why I don't look.
What do you mean? They put a whole question mark there. What is expected goals? Yeah, that part.
Someone in the chat explain that to us because I don't know what that means.
Exactly. I mean, we can go to stats of the first half. Look at it. No shots on target. We had 6. Yeah. The possession was still fairly even, but then when you go to the second, oh my days. Look at this. Oh my God. 2 shots on target versus their 6. Oh my God.
That's actually mad.
Yeah, it really is great, is it?
This just shows how important experience is, man. Like in this situation, 3-0 up. Try and see the game out, bring on
in-game management as well, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Just composure, bro. It's honestly, it's just composure. These players, to say that these players don't know what composure means, I'm just like, what are you lot doing, bro? You lot know that you need to slow the game down. You lot know that you need to keep the ball more often, because that's what was causing us the problems. Is we weren't keeping the ball that often whatsoever, and they just kept on going to the wide sides. And it's literally these crosses. And I'm just like, yeah, man, there's crosses and set pieces. We are bound to at least concede 1 goal here if this carries on. And it carried on. Barkley, of course, scoring. Oh, my God, man. I'm just like, this is the Chelsea script, bro. You just know a player that played for us before comes to score, riles up the flipping whole opposition. Before you know it, the second goes in. You're like, oh, my God. The amount of times they hit the bar twice, right?
Yeah,
I think it was 3 times.
One of them, Petrovic. Oh my God, the one for I think was that Carlton Morris or whatever his name is. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, diving.
I didn't even think he touched it, but flipping hell up on the replay, I was like, if he doesn't touch, that's going straight at the top, man. That's going in.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. I mean, Pice, when you look at these stats, especially when you split it into first half and second half, like first half weren't that bad. 2-0 up. I mean, didn't dominate the game like I would expect us to against Luton of all teams, but hey, not that bad at 2-0 up, even if 0.38 XG isn't exactly great for 45 minutes against Luton. But looking at the second half, which is obviously the Palmer's goal was just a lot of this XG, and the first half goals were just very small in XG, like we touched on 0.05 and 0.04. But this second half is horrible. What do you put it down to? And I can bring up another stat as well that was running around in the first half. Chelsea are the only team in the Premier League not to have been behind at halftime in any league match.
Is that true? Because I was baffled. Really?
It's true. And I'm like, and then I see today's game. Okay, we didn't bottle it, right? But I'm like, how flipping bad is Poch's in-game management? Then I already saw people defending Poch again in my reply saying, it's just the players switching off in the second half. I'm like, why would the players be more likely to switch off in the second half than the first half? Sure, tiredness, but isn't that what we've been told Poch has been doing all season, making them more fit? So surely that can't be an explanation here. Because again, today, I thought the Nkunku sub kind of killed us. I'll be perfectly honest. After that, we just didn't do anything anymore other than the Palmer goal, which was great. But that was one moment of transition. Otherwise, it was shocking. Mo, you were trying to say, go on.
Well, why did he choose to put him in the middle, like as against
Jackson was still on the pitch.
Exactly. Jackson was also tired. Jackson wasn't even running back anymore. Like I was like, I don't understand. Like I can clearly see that this doesn't work.
I think it was maybe the sort of the press and the high line that Luton were playing as well. I think for the last sector of the game, so Poch in his mind is thinking, we'll try and build up from the back. Say maybe Colwill try and play long ball to Nkunku, try and play that sort of ball through, because it was on most times like during the game where Colwill tried to play it to Jackson, even through midfield as well, Caicedo and Gallagher. Luton did play quite high. I thought, especially second half.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe that's the only thing I can think of why Poch would do it, but obviously it was the wrong thing to do.
It just felt like a weird decision, man. That for me, I think what made it even more weird was just like we were struggling to just cover the people on the wings. because you could see all they were going to try and keep doing was get these balls into the box. And as soon as they
did
try and
36
pass to that
crosses,
area,
36 crosses they had, mate. That's
oh my
crazy.
God, bro. Like,
There you
it's
go.
an ugly game.
Apparently, XG on target takes a look at probability after the shot is taken, while XG is before the shot is taken. All right.
Oh, okay.
I'm still a bit
Interesting.
unsure about what exactly that means, but fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Pice, speak to me. Thoughts on this, especially when you the second half in particular. Do you think the subs like ruined things? Do you think it was the players? Do you think like how do you think the second half developed the way it did? I mean, Freddie saying the Enzo sub was also poor. This one I'll defend Poch on a little bit, saying, well, he tried to get more control in midfield with how the way was going, took on off a winger for a centre mid to control the ball a bit better and the game a bit better. It just didn't work. And we didn't have another midfielder on the bench. So, like, I'm sure if he had Ugochukwu or Lavia, he might have brought those on. But Enzo was the only one there. So if he wanted to stack the midfield a bit more to control the game better, that's the only thing that was available to him. So I'm not sure you can say Enzo's sub was poor, but Enzo, once he came on, he was poor. But Pice, speak to me.
I think the Enzo sub was poor in the sense of the position of Enzo for me seemed really far forward instead of deep. So I don't think we got that control. So I don't know. For me, it was really far forward. I didn't understand where he came on, but the second half was weird. I feel like because we were 2-0 up, it was almost like, I don't know, maybe we sort of like were coasting a little bit. You know, maybe we felt in control of the game. Again, you know, inexperienced young side, you know, they've probably thought it was going to be an easy win in the second half, you know, maybe a bit more relaxed, but it didn't really pan out for us. Obviously, after the third goal, you can understand it a little bit more, us tailing off, but I would have liked to see us do a lot better. I think up until it was like 65 minutes or something, like we did nothing. Luton actually had a lot of the ball. So yeah, I mean, you see that they end up with a lot more possession than us. So
this is
I
only
was disappointed.
Overall, it's a bit closer, but still.
Yeah, I was disappointed in the second half though that we tailed off. I felt like today's game could have been like a real statement for us. Obviously, other big clubs that have struggled here. Arsenal got like a 94th minute winner from a set piece against Luton. You know, Liverpool struggled. There's other team, Newcastle struggled. So it is a good result in the sense. Obviously, we won and scored 3 goals, but I just think our overall performance is going to leave our fans quite annoyed because we're not really seeing much like improvement in terms of our overall like game, like in a sense, like we don't have like a consistent 90 minutes where we're like, wow, today was bloody brilliant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that hasn't happened for ages, and it's disappointing. It's disappointing we can't get that more regularly.
It is disappointing. I mean, Dams, Mo has kind of said his piece on it already, so I'll go to you, Dams. How do you explain a second half of this happening? Is it just the subs? Is it like Pice touched on as well, and we all touched on inexperience? I think you said it yourself as well. But is that a bit of a simple excuse for us and the manager to say, "Oh, we lacked experience. That's why we nearly threw it away at the end"? Like, obviously, it's partly. Of course, it's true. Like, there's no way around it. But I still feel like it's a bit of a get out of jail free card where I'm like, you can't yes, even with a young, inexperienced team, you should do a bit better as a collective, I feel like. But so how do you think it can happen? Like, obviously the crowd and Luton trying their best and having very little to lose by the end, us probably being tired. We also shouldn't forget we had the least amount of rest since Christmas, and obviously so many injured players that we basically have the same lot playing constantly. Colwill's playing every game. Gusto is now playing all the time. Caicedo had fever on fucking Christmas and now played a full 90 twice since then. Gallagher nearly had his ankle broken twice and still played the whole game. So I guess maybe that's part of it, but it's still, there's a lot more to it than just saying inexperience, I feel like. But how do you see that?
I think it's a combination of like 3 or 4 things actually. I think complacency is definitely one of them, where we sort of went 2-3-0 up and then we just thought the game was done. Then that also led to the substitutions as well. And then I think partially it was on Luton as well to have that spirit to try and bring back the game. And I think either Pies or Mo said at the start, like if the game had gone on for another 5-10 minutes, I think they would have scored. So I think it's a combination of the 3 things. But yeah, honestly, I'm just relieved, if anything, that we've got through this because City have struggled there, Arsenal struggled there, Tottenham as well have struggled at Luton as well. And honestly, for 65, 70 minutes, we're 3-0 up, and it's like, wow, like, okay, fair play. I know Luton are down the bottom and stuff, but we've seen teams struggle there. So Yeah, I definitely put it down to those three things: complacency, substitutions, and also inexperience as well. Because we've seen the amount of fouls that were sort of given towards us. Luton knew how to rattle us, and yeah, well, we did get rattled, and yeah, we sort of got away with it at the end.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Let's get into these player ratings, shall we? And we start with the goalkeeper, Petrovic. I mean, a lot of us have said something on him already. Mo, I'll let you go first. What would you rate him? And also, because I haven't spoken to you about him really, especially since he's gotten to play, we heard yesterday that Sanchez is nearing a return again.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I'm not necessarily sure that when Sanchez is back, Sanchez necessarily deserves to come straight back in. The one thing I'll say is Petrovic's distribution was probably the worst of his games so far that he's had. But then again, the back three of Luton make it a bit difficult to win the long balls. They pressed us quite high, and obviously, I don't know. He could do better in playing out, but otherwise, I think he's done really, really well. So, what would you rate him today, and how do you see the whole when Sanchez is back fit situation?
And yeah, Petrovic has been clearly like a godsend for us. I think he's minimized and given confidence to the team in terms of just shot stopping ability, but also just aerial comfortability. Where sometimes there's set pieces where I'm just thinking, oh my god, I'm assuming the worst, and he'll just come in and just grab the ball. I'm like, oh, flipping hell! Like it's been a little while, and I think for me, what I've really liked with him is that with each game going, I felt like more and more confident in him. And today, for me, I generally would give him a solid 8 out of 10, and I would even go to say 9 if and just generally because some of the saves that he was making, I was like flipping hell. Like you're really like if you anybody else, I feel like it would more than likely go in, or they wouldn't even be the attempt to try and make the save. The attempts to make the saves has been there. The fact that for me, he is trying to do the ball playing stuff, and he is trying to find players when he gets the ball rather than just kicking it long, which I thought Sanchez had that over him. But I'm like, actually, maybe with more game time, this guy could actually probably do a very good, decent job at this aspect of the game. Maybe today wasn't the highlight of that for him, but from a shot stopping and perspective, today I thought that was one of his good games. So as a goalkeeper, what I judge goalkeepers on, I thought he did a solid job, to the point that I would say 8 out of 10. The fact that he's conceded 2 goals, and I want to say that particular save that he did, I want to so badly just give him a 9 out of 10 because I thought that was going in, man. But yeah, man,
I don't
performance.
Think anywhere between an 8 and a 9 would be fair. You can do 8.5 if you want to, but I think you're not far off. I mean, you see the stats. He made 4 saves, an XG prevented of 0.87, which is pretty good. You can see the passing there too. Only 68% on long balls is 39. Obviously, that's not always down to the goalie's ball. It's also down to the striker not winning. The header or whatever. But yeah, Pice, I'll go to you. Petrovic, Mo gave him an 8. Would you go along with that? Would you go for something different when you see some of the stats? I mean, I can scroll down to show you some more stats. Saves in the box, acted as a sweep a couple of times too. Throws is irrelevant, but high claims 3. It's not that bad, I guess. What do you make of him?
Petrovic, I like him, to be fair. I mean, I don't like, honestly, I'm not even overreacting, but I don't really see the difference between having Sanchez in goal and having him in goal. Like, I really don't. I mean, maybe Sanchez is a little bit better shot stopper, but I think Petrovic is better on the ball, personally.
It's just safe on the ball. I'm not even necessarily like if you both gave them 50 balls and told them try to hit this target 100 meters away 50 times, Sanchez probably hits it a few more times, but he's less likely to make a mistake with it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And if you're less likely to make mistakes, I've got to say you're better on the ball. So,
I guess so.
Right now, I think Petrovic is better on the ball. But again, with Petrovic, quite a small sample size because we've only seen him for a few games. And, if he played, like the same amount Sanchez has, maybe we're saying, he's not that good. I don't know. Like, he did make a very good save today that tipped onto the bar. I can't remember which one it was, but I can't remember what player it was from across. Yeah, it was an insane save. I thought the save when they actually scored was good as well, but unfortunately, it went to their player in the end. But yeah, I think he's solid. I do think so. I do think Sanchez will come straight back in though. I feel like he's the number one, and I don't feel like Petrovic will keep his spot. Just a feeling, but yeah,
I probably agree. What rating would you give him though today, mate?
I give him a 7. I think he was pretty solid. I think he helped us out in a lot of good moments.
Okay, there you go. A 7 and 8 so far. Dums, going to you then. What would you give Petrovic?
Yeah, that I just think about that save, man. That honestly handed us the 3 points because at that point it was what? Was it still 3-1 at that point? Or was it 3-2?
I think
I
so.
don't remember.
Was it even a 3-0 maybe? Maybe 3-1. I think you might.
But regardless, though, like we knew obviously the pressure was coming. They had a few disallowed goals. They had one disallowed goal as well. Then obviously they hit the bar a couple of times, but that save was ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
But then on the flip side, I'm kind of looking at the second goal again. Like, do you guys think he could have done better with that one? Do you think he could have maybe tipped it to his right side instead of into the middle? I don't know.
I know what you mean. I thought about that too, but at the same time, like the header comes from quite close. So
yeah.
It's
That's
like
a bit.
he tried to save it, it hit his hand kind of on this side and bounced into the middle. But I agree. Like,
obviously, our players should
have Alisson there or Courtois, probably doesn't spill into the middle. But,
yeah, or even like someone like Alisson or Edison, for example. But yeah, it's a really tough one to judge the second one because even it's not really in the corner as well. So that's why I'm kind of like, could he have done better? But then obviously I put that more to our sort of defensive midfield for not being alert and stopping that tapping. So yeah, I'd probably go with a 7.5 for Petrovic. I think he's started well in his Chelsea career as well. And yeah, I think he's definitely better on the ball than Sanchez. Sanchez just, on the ball, he just gives everyone a heart attack, man, honestly. And shot stopping, yeah, I'd probably say Sanchez just edges it at the moment. But I think there's more to come for Petrovic. And I hope that he keeps his place in the lineup for when Sanchez returns, because I think he's started well to his Chelsea career.
There you go. I mean, I'd probably give him an 8. I would even say an 8.5 wouldn't be too far from the truth, because I mean, I get what you're saying. Down that second goal, fair enough, but I think that other save is so big, and otherwise, exactly. I think he did well, but I think an 8 is all right overall, leaving us at a 7.5 still. In terms of Petrovic and coming back in, I think another thing that we need to, a bit of an extra credit that we should give Petrovic is that Sanchez has a lot of Premier League experience. I think for a goalie coming to a very different league from the MLS is a very different level to the Premier League. That takes a little bit of time to adapt as well to the physicality of it, to how do you come best for to claim crosses, these types of things, right? So I think considering that Petrovic is already so close to Sanchez, even if you think Sanchez maybe still edges him, the fact that Petrovic just played, 5 games in English football and is essentially already almost on the same level, what it feels like, that would suggest to me that Petrovic getting more time and more experience here will end up being better. But hey, only time will tell, I suppose. We move up the pitch because it's 4 of us today. Maybe we need to try to move through these a little bit quicker, looking at the stats and everything already before. Only one rating down and we're already here for 45 minutes. Bloody hell. Let's get to Disasi. Now, I thought he was probably the best of the 3 centre-backs, if I include Colwill into this. But then there was also moments where Silva cleaned up and Disasi was nowhere to be seen. The one thing I will say is, and I know Luton obviously have their strength at this in terms of, corners and headers and crosses and stuff. But my days, the amount of headers these lot lost today. I mean, you look at like a stat from Van Dijk, who loses like 4 headers all season. Mate, Disasi and Thiago Silva lost like 17 in one game today. They lost probably 17 in the second half alone. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to be very happy with either of those two. And by the way, when I said this, Disasi was probably the best of the lot. That was before things went a bit crazy. And then things changed. There was, for example, the Gusto error in build-up halfway through-ish the second half, maybe early in the second half, where Disasi cleaned up with a good interception. So there was these moments on which I'm mostly basing this on, while Thiago got pushed around a little bit, like lost duels in the box. I'm like, what are you doing? But there was also moments where he cleaned up like crazy, and he was the only one really saving us. So by the end, that changed. I don't know. I'd probably say the 4 for Disasi. Dams, I'll go with you first. Well, is 4 too high? Should I go lower? What do you think?
It's a tough one with Disasi this game because defensively, I thought he was solid most of the game. Even, for Cole Palmer's third goal, he did actually play a role for that one as well. from that sort of short free kick. I think it was offside or a free kick we had. Like that ball to Jackson was quite good as well. For breaking the lines through from defense to straight to attack for Jackson to turn and pass it. So I thought, with respect to that, I thought you passed the ball really well for that. But yeah, Disasi, man. It's a weird one because like a lot of our fans don't criticize him, but at the same time, a lot of fans don't praise him either. So it's kind of in the middle where he's just a bit of a steady Eddie, to be honest. So I'd give him a 6, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
Considering
Fair enough. I think it's a
2
bit
goals,
high,
so I wouldn't go
personally,
higher,
but
but yeah, I'll go 6.
So it's okay. I mean, I can bring up his stats as well. Pice told us here that Silva won 1 of 2 aerials and Disasi won 2 of 4. Now, that fair enough if that's the stat, but that tells me, okay, they just didn't contest for the others because just look at the game. I mean, Luton sadly had a lot more than 6 headers. So, like, yeah, and if the centre-backs didn't contest for them, then they weren't near enough, right? I mean, it's as simple as that, really. But yeah, looking at his stats, ground duels, 4 out of 4 strong, aerial duels, we just touched on that. But should he contest for more defensive actions? I don't really know what that means, but 2 recoveries, 1 interception, 2 header clearances, 5 clearances overall, 2 out of 3 tackles, 4 out of 8 long balls, passing 89% usually is higher. Pice, what rating would you give Disasi? Dams went 6, I went 4. What would you give him?
I was going to go 6 as well. To be fair, I thought he was okay. Yeah, I think Dams is right. You know, I feel like a lot of people are very quick to criticize him, but he does go under the radar some games. And I think overall today he was all right. I don't think he was poor in any means. I've seen worse games from him for sure. I don't have too much to say on him, but I've seen worse games.
Is it? But I mean, on the one hand, I think if you take the game overall, maybe what you guys are saying is relatively fair because obviously for 60, 70 minutes, they didn't have a shot on target. But just because of how poor the last 20 minutes was, I'm not sure any of these centre-backs should be getting an average rating. Like, look how many chances we allowed the opponents to have. And it was all from crosses. Who is supposed to stop crosses if not... like, obviously, once the cross has gone in, who is supposed to stop an effort on target after a cross if not the centre-backs? You know what I mean?
Silva was incredible today, bro. Incredible.
Yeah.
But was he incredible in that last 20 minutes? How does that last? How do they have so many chances? How do I have an XG
he cleared 1 off the line?
2.66?
He had 12 clearances. That's the 3rd most since 2017 from a defender.
Again, I'm not saying he was poor, and I'm certainly saying by the end Thiago was better. But if you're already giving Disasi a 6 and you think Thiago Silva was brilliant, you're probably giving him a 6, 7 or higher.
Yeah.
And I'm like, seeing those last 20 minutes, I just can't believe how that's a thing, personally. But
I don't think it was on the centre backs as much. I actually thought our wide areas were way too exposed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're playing against Luton. How can our centre backs not stop their crosses from finding a teammate?
How many minutes?
He cleared 12 clearances. That's the 3rd most since 2017 as a Chelsea player. That's incredible. 12 clearances. That's insane.
But what does clearances mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like cleared off the line. Like,
well, he cleared
one. I'm not really sure what I want to make of that stat.
He did clear 1 off the line.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, saved the goal.
Again, I mean, we haven't gotten to Thiago Silva. I will give him higher than I gave Disasi, but just the 6 for Disasi that just surprises me. But there you go. It's all right. Mo, would you also go as high as a 6? Would you go a little bit lower than that? Again, it's difficult to say, okay, it was 20 really bad minutes compared to 70 minutes of not really having much to do. I struggle how I end that up in a rating. But what would you give Disasi?
And honestly, I'm in agreement with Pice and Damish on this one.
I do.
Because it's weird, right? Because I think when I think about performances Disasi has put on this season, this was actually one of his more solid ones, and he didn't really do much wrong for me. In this type of game, the one thing I ask from him and Silva and any sort of play that is of their height is to basically help us deal with these crosses. And generally speaking, I thought for the most part of the game, they generally handled Luton Town very, very freaking well. That Adebayo guy has literally just scored from a rebound situation, but otherwise he was kept quiet. He was frustrated, and I think our players
It was an
actually did a
offside goal
decent
as well, to be fair, which was lucky on our
yeah.
end.
I think for me, what really surprised me with this game is, and I'm going to give I'm going to give it for both Silva and Disasi, is I think from a Disasi perspective, I thought for me this was like a 6.5. I'd even argue, and he was decent enough where to me I was just like, I've got zero issues with you in this game. But Thiago Silva for me was the monster that we like. Honestly, if he was not in this game, we bottle that game. It's simple as that. He was screaming out at these players, telling them stop doing the same ish over and over again and putting us under pressure. And bro, how many crosses did they deal with? Because collectively, I think if we did our job better, Luton does not get as many crosses into the box as they did. But because we were allowing
absolutely.
it,
I'm also giving the fullbacks low ratings. Don't you worry about it.
Because that to me is where my frustration was, is that I looked at it from a collective point of view. I'm like, you guys know this is their strength and you lot are allowing them to still do it. I don't know who this number 45 was for them, and I don't know if he came on as a sub or whatever, but what a game he was having against us, bro. Like, this guy was just literally tearing us up on that side, and I was just getting so damn annoyed that our centre backs are going to be the ones that are going to have to face the criticism in the end. So from my perspective, Disasi gets a 6.5, Thiago Silva gets an 8 from me.
Fair dues.
I thought they were brilliant.
Leaving us at a 5.5 for Disasi, because as much as you guys have disagreed, I will stick to my gun on this. I'm like, yes, the fullbacks will also get low ratings, don't you worry. But almost everybody other than Palmer and Madueke will get low ratings today. So, like, be prepared for that. And obviously Petrovic. But yeah, we move on to Thiago Silva. I put down your 8 already because might as well. Pice, are you going to go as high, maybe even higher? Because you obviously were very, very happy with Thiago Silva, as was high in the grand scheme of things, of course. But yeah, just asking your rating.
I'll go. Yeah, I don't know between 7.5 and 8. I was between one of them because I did think he was one of our best players. I'll go 7.5 because obviously our attack was very good as well, and leave room for some more ratings there.
Fair dues, fair enough. Sorry, I was just trying to read through the stat which ones I want to bring up. Did you say 7.5 or 8?
Yeah, 7.5. Yeah.
Okay. Dams, I'll take it to you then. I mean, 2 out of 2 ground duels is good. Just surprised that it's only 2. I feel like our defenders were in so many duels today. I don't really understand how it's only 2, but there you go. Tackles, okay, 0 out of 1, but it's a centre back. That's not that relevant. But the 12 clearances, obviously, the Pice touched on. How long? Since how long? That's the most clearances. 2013, you say?
2017.
Oh, 17.
Only Cahill and Aspi had more against Burnley and someone else. I saw it on Twitter.
Against Burnley? Well, that tells you everything. So it's all about crosses then. It's in games with a lot of crosses that these things happen. Fair dues. 5 header clearances, to be fair. Which is like, so he had 5 header clearances, but only 2 aerial duels. How? But I guess, obviously, some of them weren't duels. He just headed it without contention. But 6 out of 9 long balls is pretty good. Interesting how few passes he had today, because usually he has like well above 80, 90, often into the 100. So that's interesting. But Dams, what did you make of Thiago and what rating would you give him in total?
Yeah, he was. I thought he was really good today, Thiago Silva. Had it not been for him, honestly, I think the game would have ended like 5 or 6-3 to Luton. Honestly, the amount of blocks he made, putting his body on the line, knowing to be in the right position every single time as well. That just shouts experience. That just shouts a guy we're gonna miss so much when he leaves as well, whenever that is. But I'd agree with Pies. I think 7.5 is a fair rating for Thiago Silva. Had we kept a clean sheet, I definitely would have said at least 9 or 9.5 for Thiago Silva had we not conceded those 2 goals. But yeah, I'd give him a 7.5.
Fair dues. Fair enough. I'm still a little bit undecided.
What did you give Disasi, by the way?
4.
So Thiago Silva would be like a 6 to you, innit?
Yeah, but I'm thinking 6.5 though. I think I might do 6.5, and that overall still leaves us at a 7.5 because obviously there was 2 7.5s and 1 8. So Now I feel like that's maybe a little bit extreme between Disasi and Silva. The difference that we have in total now. I just think it's a little high for a game. We conceded 2.66 XG against us, conceded 2 goals, should have conceded more. Opponent hit the woodwork twice, scored an offside goal that was very close offside, and we defended it dreadfully. I think it's too high, but hey, I'm a fan of optimism, so I'm not going to complain too much. Move to Levi Colwill then. And Pice, why don't I let you go first on this one? What'd you make of him? It's another one of those where I'm like, the poor guy at left back, he just has no idea what he's doing. That's what it feels like sometimes anyway.
Yeah, Cole was a weird one because I actually thought up until towards the end when he was getting defensively tested. I thought up until then he was maybe like 70 minutes. He was doing really, really well. He definitely had a goal involvement, not an assist, but
he was involved.
Yeah, that was
Madueke's goal.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Madueke's. That's it.
That
I
pass was good. Yeah.
Look at his stats. He does reflect it. 70% pass accuracy is not great, but defensively, I thought he was really good up until the end. It was just a shame. Obviously, Gusto came on at left back as well.
Look at his ground duels as well. 8 of 10.
Yeah, well, it wasn't all him, but I thought actually he had a pretty solid game. It was one of the rare games I'll say he played pretty well at left back. I can't lie, he did quite well.
But then doesn't that completely... I mean, obviously, I will admit, most of Luton's crosses came from their left, our right. But if we're now saying the left back was great and the centre backs were great, how the fuck did we concede so many chances?
It was when Gusto was on the left and
when Gusto was on the right. Okay, so it's just Gusto's fault. I hear it. Fair enough then.
Bro, honestly, Gusto
it wasn't just Gusto, but yeah,
it wasn't.
That's all three of you are saying. I'm just saying that's what you.
No. I will explain why. I will explain why in my one, innit? Because there's other players.
Who was on the? Because when Gusto was on the left, Gilchrist was on the right, but
that was for the last 5 minutes of the game, bro. So.
But before Gusto went to the left, we was getting destroyed on the right hand side by that Doherty kid. So who was there then? Because we was getting shredded.
Gusto, but obviously whoever the right winger was.
I don't remember Gusto getting help.
It was Palmer. Palmer was on the right, wasn't he, at that time?
Yeah, Palmer was on the right after.
But he I can't lie. Gusto and Colwill, they stopped getting support. In the first half, what we did so well to minimize Luton was that our wingers were actually doing their defensive duties and making sure that they weren't getting doubled up on.
And then we were 3-0 up, so they thought they didn't have to anymore, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
I think that's more what happened because honestly, like even thinking of Gusto, I think individually, like I don't want to give them low ratings because I thought they were all quite good. I thought it was weird, but towards the end, obviously we were getting destroyed. So maybe it was just the more of the the defensive side. They were 1-on-1 more times and then got more exposed because Luton pushed everyone forward and we didn't have players steaming back as well. Because in the first half, remember Madueke was good defensively. Everyone was quite good defensively coming back, and that's what stopped them crosses coming into the box in the first place, right? Because they couldn't get the overlaps, and they didn't have as much space. So maybe it was just more of a team shape thing than individuals. Because I do find it quite hard to give any of these defenders low ratings for individual performances, which is strange because obviously we conceded 2 and we nearly drew the game.
Yeah. It's a tough one. So what rating would you then give Colwill in the end, bro?
6.5. Yeah, 6.5.
I had the wrong screen, my bad. 6.5. Okay. 6.5. See, I can't remember the last time you gave Colwill this higher rating, to be honest, bro. But to be fair, you did say it was, in your opinion, arguably one of his better games in this position. Like you touched on, involved in that Madueke goal too. There you go. One last thing, just quickly, back to Thiago Silva, because I wanted to mention this earlier and forgot about it. Ashraf earlier put a quote from Pochettino after the game into the chat here, and I mean, Pies touched on it earlier, and we saw it like Thiago Silva shaking his head after the game and stuff. And Poch said on Thiago Silva's frustration at the final whistle, Thiago's like this. He's always moaning, never happy, but that is good. He's 39 years old and still playing. Thoughts on that comment? I mean, this is a thing we've heard a lot now from media briefs, from all sorts of things, that Thiago Silva is a moaner. Do you think that word moaner has too negative of a connotation for someone like Thiago Silva? Because part of moaning is obviously also high expectations and high standards. But at the same time, it depends on how you execute that, how you word that. Like, is it just whining or is it constructive moaning? I guess both exists. what do you make of that comment from Poch? I'll go with you first, Mo, and then I'll let you go into Colwill too.
And I don't know why Poch is saying that, but he makes it seem like it's like negative. I thought that was positive. Yeah, for me, Thiago Silva doing that, let me know. Thiago Silva, and this is where, remember that everybody makes a big deal about Thiago Silva not picking up the armband and being the captain. But I'm like, this is what I want players to do, man. Like, demand of players the fact that they're supposed to be doing better and knowing better. And generally speaking, he was letting even the cameraman that was trying to film him, he was telling him, go away from me, bro. I don't really want to be filmed right now. And I'm like, yo, that's what I like. I like the fact that not only the high standards are there, and yes, we won the game, but he's frustrated because he does not believe that those 2 goals should be a thing that happens. And I agree with him, because this is where, for example, where Pies is saying he doesn't really want to put it on the fullbacks or the defensive line on us conceding these 2 goals. I agree, bro, because the players that are at the front, they've all had their opportunities to either get a goal, score, or whatever. And then when it came to the defensive side of the game today, they got to like 3-0, and they decided, yo, let's pack our bags, let's relax now. We don't need to do things as much. And that's where, for me, I think Thiago Silva's frustration is absolutely spot on, because they should all collectively be doing the job together, and they should all be trying to protect a clean sheet. But instead, it's the defenders that get the critique for this. And right now, that's how we had this back and forth. And Laurenz, that's why I don't even blame you for being disappointed in the defenders, brother, because I understand.
No, I'm disappointed in all of them, but except Palmer. And arguably, Palmer should be disappointed too, because he was the one that didn't track back so much at the end.
Exactly. And Jackson as well, by the way. Jackson also did the same thing. First half, he was doing it quite a lot. And then second half, he was just picking little moments. But there was moments where I'm seeing him lose the ball and brother is jogging back. Why? You're the winger. You don't get to jog back. You run back. That's you.
I mean, maybe that's why he didn't bring Sterling on. But if Jackson isn't doing it either, then
but that's for me. It's why.
How can the manager leave him on the pitch?
But that's exactly what my issue is. I'm like, you're seeing him jog. The body language is already false. That's not what he should be doing. Either you move him centrally where he doesn't have to jog as much, or you take him off the pitch and put someone on there that's got the legs to run back and forth, because that's what the team needs right now. And that's where, for me, like if we'll get to the manager's ratings afterwards, but that's where my disappointment was from a collective perspective. And that was my issue. And Thiago Silva being a Mona is not a bad thing. It's a fantastic thing. And I hope like we are able to give him the respect that he's due when he leaves eventually, because at the end of the day, I'm someone that has been saying it is probably time we start moving on from him, but I still respect what sort of quality he is. It's just that Chelsea needs to know what the hell we're playing with the next 2 years, and I'm putting the long-term future of the club over me having to deal with Thiago for the short term, and just say, you know what, we're going to deal with just having a 39-year-old that's about to be 40. But otherwise, I don't see an issue with Thiago moaning. I just think Pochettino doesn't know also the right words to use to try and describe it in a positive manner either.
Maybe that is also valid. Back to Colwill then, mate. 6.5 from Pice. What would you give Colwill?
This was for me a strong performance from him. I'd give him a 7. Believe it or not, I just felt like he was let down by Jackson in the end, and I was quite disappointed that Jackson didn't really help him out as much. But I thought this was actually one of his better performances. I still feel like left back is not his area. I'm going to strongly stand on this. I still think we're limiting what he can actually give this team by just putting him at left back. But I was so happy to see him contribute towards the goal for Madueke, because it helped Jackson just get out of that situation. But from another perspective, I think defensively, this was one of those games where it was always going to be tough. And for the most part, I thought he handled himself really well today.
All right, very good. A 6.5 and a 7 so far for Levi Colwill then. Doms, what would you give Colwill?
Yeah, I actually thought this is arguably probably his best performance in a Chelsea shirt. I thought at left back, because I remember at the Tottenham game, I thought he was absolutely dreadful that game. And we know left back's not his position. The same sort of treatment I give Chilwell for playing left wing, where it's not his position, so you can't really judge him too much in a way. I mean, you could criticize performance, but in my opinion, you can't really nail the coffin in a way and say, no, he's not good at all. But
the only thing I would add to that is, when does there come a point when that excuse doesn't run anymore? Because he's now playing there for 6 months. I still agree with you.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah,
Is there ever a point? Say he does it for the whole season now. does there ever come a point where he doesn't get that excuse anymore? I don't know, honestly.
But then it's different. It's different responsibility, different position, different way of playing the game, basically. So you have to change your sort of philosophy, the philosophy that you've been brought up with these whole times.
Bro, look how big Colwill is for a left back as well. The guy's a unit, man.
Yeah.
Like it's so hard when you're, especially in those games, the bigger games where their wingers are just constantly one-on-one. Like,
yeah,
honestly, man, I feel sorry for him. He's not built to be a fullback. The guy's
but honestly, I thought today, up until 75 minutes, I thought he was good, solid defensively. Didn't get passed many times in that time. Was strong on the ball as well. His passing was better than recent weeks, but yeah, I thought he was good today. I'll give him a 6.5 as well. I thought he was good, apart from obviously the last 20 minutes where everyone got cooked. But I think we have to give credit to Luton as well at the same time, for sort of putting that pressure onto us, and for not sort of bottling it in a way where they go 3-0 down, they have the chips down, and they go 5 or 6 down, which could have happened potentially, but they stuck at it, and yeah, they gave us a fright for the last 20 minutes. So I think it's credit to them as well. That's why it's hard to pinpoint. That's why we give these defenders high ratings, because for most of the game they were good, but it's just one of them where Luton have a spur moment where they score an offside goal and they scored and they believed, and they score again, they believe again. Away as well, it's obviously going to be tough. So yeah, I'll give Colwill 6.5. I thought it was one of his best performances in the Chelsea shirt today.
Fair dues. Yeah, it's a tough one, because I saw this comment from Kevin and I was like, I haven't mentioned that yet, but maybe that's also why I wouldn't go as high, because I'm like, we struggled with Luton's press. Like, that's shocking.
But I think that's more down to our players up front not holding the ball up, because there was times where we got out, but Broja, Jackson,
just square, the whole 4 of them. I mean, I feel I'm stuck in 2 minds. On the one hand, I want to raise Disaster's rating for my end a little bit. On the other hand, I don't, I'll be honest. And I'll give Colwill, maybe I'll say like 5. Do you know what I mean? 5. What's that divided by 4? 6.25. 6.25. Can't even really round that up or down. I guess rounded up, it is a 6.5 still. But yeah, I'm going to say 5. Do I feel harsh now giving him a rating higher than Disasi? A little bit. But hey, here we are now. We get to Malagusta on the other side. Let me bring up his stats and see, if the stats tell us anything that we might not have noticed ourselves otherwise. Let me get away from Colwill here. Gusto again booked. Honestly, I can't remember what he got booked for, if I'm being perfectly honest. Passing, 88%.
It was for time wasting, throw-in.
Oh, really? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
There you go. He could have squared one back to Broja a little bit better. Otherwise, he wasn't really involved in attack. That's unfortunately what happens when, in the last game, obviously, you had not Palmer. Who started in front? Oh, Martin, of course, who came inside and allowed Malagusta all the space on the right to attack. And also Nkunku towards the end of the game. Oh, well, actually, then Gusto had moved over to the left, so that didn't apply anymore. But today you had Madueke, who obviously stayed wide, and then you saw how much drastically less Gusto attacked all of a sudden. He made a mistake where Disasi bailed him out, where he really could have cost us, one of those typical mistakes that we make in trying to transition ourselves, lose the ball, and then we're kind of caught in transition and there's too much space for the attackers. But like I say, Disasi bailed him out. 0 out of 3 tackles, 0 out of 1 crosses. Okay. 3 out of 4 long balls is pretty good. 1 out of 1 tackle, 6 out of 11 ground duels. Duels won, though, 7 overall is not that bad. But when you also lose 5, it's still not great. Defensive actions, you apparently only had 4. There was also I can't remember which goal it was. I think the second one where he just let the guy cross way too easily. And it is probably true what we've kind of discussed earlier, that most of the crosses we did concede did usually tend to come from Gusto's side, regardless of which side he was on. It's a tricky one. I'd probably go along with Disasi here and give him a 4. I'm probably going to go a lot lower than you guys are again. But, I mean, if we're not blaming the centre-backs for the crosses, and we're not blaming Colwill either, then maybe Gusto deserves a 0 because we had 36 crosses against us, mind you. Yeah, I'll say 4.
Is that including?
Maybe I can be convinced otherwise. We'll see. Mo, you were trying to say something. Why don't you go?
Is that the 36 crosses? Is that including what? Is that from open play or is that from
I
set
don't know.
pieces as
I
well?
just saw the stat 36 crosses. It could be that it's including corners and free kicks.
Okay, cool. Because that's mad. Yeah.
That is a lot of crosses. But what did you think of Gusto, Mo?
Honestly speaking, I'm one of his biggest fans, and today I felt defensively he left a lot to be desired for me, and I think he's an awesome footballer, and I think he has a lot to offer both defensively and attacking wise. But today I felt like I do think collectively and the way Poch kind of went about with certain decisions, we did kind of put him in a position to be more vulnerable because you could see that Luton was also preferring to go down that side. But we did nothing to react or respond to it accordingly. But also, I usually think he's someone that, when the defensive side of his game is tested, he technically usually enjoys it, and he usually does a fantastic job at it. And I felt like today it wasn't one of his strongest performances in there. So I'm actually quite inclined to agree with you and say that I would give him a 4.
You agree with the 4. Fair dues. Yeah, it's a tricky one because Yannick, I'm not sure if I'm Lucifer or is somebody else Lucifer. I don't know. No, I'm trying to read stats as well as what I saw. That's the whole point. Hence why I still gave the defenders low ratings, even though their stats don't look that bad. But maybe you forgot to pay attention. Dums, 2 4s then. Would you agree with going low for Gusto, or do you think that's too low?
Bro, I'm thinking of FPL. I'm giving this guy -1, man. I swear. 60 minutes. This guy, he was on 6 points for a clean sheet. I was so gassed, man. And then, then he ended up got yellow card. 2 goals conceded, 0, man. No, I'm joking. Now, of course, you don't get -1, but
oh my days.
I'll probably have to agree with you guys and go with the 4 as well. I didn't think it was his best game, but I thought there were times where he did well in the game. I thought he played a big role in Madueke's got actually with the overlap as well, just allowing drawing defenders away and allowing Madueke to have the shot. So with that respect, I thought even though it wasn't on the ball, it was off the ball whack, but it still makes a difference. And I said to you guys, I think when we played the Palace game, I think he should definitely be our starting right back now. We can't rely on Reece James to stay fit, and if he is performing to the level he is, then yeah, he should be staying in at right back. I think he's got a lot of potential to be one of the best players in our team. So, but based on today, I probably have to agree with the 4. It wasn't his. Let's just say we've seen better from Gusto, but he was still pretty decent.
Yeah, it's weird because on the ball he certainly looked the best of all 4 of the back 4 in my opinion. Obviously, also natural. He is the most technical player of the lot, so obviously, but. A 4 to Gusto seems weirdly more harsh than it does to Disasi, but obviously when you look at the reality of how many crosses went past him, I don't see how we can give him much higher price. Do you see it the same, or do you think he does deserve at least a little bit higher, even though you've now got a tough ask in changing that 4 much, considering there's already been 3 4s?
I'll probably go with 5. I feel like he could have got an assist as well, but Broja just didn't have any IQ in the box, unfortunately.
I disagree. I think the ball from Gusto was dreadful. Broja held his run the whole time, was in the same area, and Gusto just decided to pass somewhere else.
He held his run, which was bad. He should have attacked the box, in my opinion. Should have attacked
I agree with that as well.
But he had a gap. Like he was in a gap where there was no defender, so he had space to receive. If he doesn't have space to receive, go. But if you do, why not just get the ball? But that's an irrelevant discussion. 12 plus 5 is 17. So did we divide that by 4? Leaving us at a 4.25, which I guess does round up to a 5.5 because we did the same for Levi Colwill. So Gusto with a 4.5 in the end. Shall we get to Moises Caicedo? Pice, I'll stick with you and I'll bring up your tweet about his stats as well. I'm not sure if that's necessarily all the stats or if you mainly focused on the positives.
You should get up instead. You should get up the graph that I tweeted of Chelsea.
Yes, I was about to say. Yeah.
Honestly, bro, like Pochettino does not know how to coach midfield. I'm sorry.
Pochettino knows very little, if we're being honest. But who's surprised with the Spurs legend? But we'll get to that when we get to Poch. And I know that's in the far distant future, but I do have the tweet ready already. On Caicedo, like you said here, 11 duels won, 36 out of 37 passes. Again, my question is, why doesn't he have more passes in a game like today? I know, obviously, we didn't have the ball more, but why
we play
not?
Transition ball, bro.
Yeah, against Luton, it's just baffling. Two out of 2 long balls, 5 tackles, 0 times dribble past. Again, the dribble past stat, I don't really like that stat, I'll be honest. He does still love to give stupid fouls away. Unfortunately, our whole team did. What did we see earlier in the stats? 21 fouls we gave away.
Why do you not like that stat, bro? Because Jorginho, I love Jorginho, but he had like 5 times dribble past every game. Like, that's a good stat for a midfielder. It shows that you're defensively disciplined and you're good.
No. I don't mean I don't like the stat in terms of that it's not a good stat. I agree with that. But I think the stat in and of itself is a very inconclusive stat in terms of sometimes it includes things that I would consider you clearly just for dribble past, and sometimes
the context of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because this can say 0, and I could heavily disagree, but I've also had it where it said like 3, and I'm like, I felt like he stopped everyone. So it is, but again, it's eye test and stats, and they're a bit strange sometimes. But in total, I think the biggest credit I want to give Caicedo, again, he had high fever at Christmas and played 90 minutes since then. That's impressive. For me, the most impressive thing about what he did today, and that ball back to Colwill in the lead up to Madueke's goal. Great pass. Outside of that, average. But again, we're not blaming the centre-backs. We're only blaming Gusto. So where's the blame coming in? We can't only blame Poch for not controlling the game, not really keeping the ball. Where does the blame go? Because we're also going to praise Madueke for scoring. We're going to praise Palmer for scoring. And at least one of you said Jackson was decent. So where's the low ratings coming from for us scraping a 3-2 for Luton? So I'm intrigued what you guys are going to say. But I'll start with you, Pies, on Caicedo. What rating would you give him? What did you make of him today?
I think the low ratings are not really going to be here from us because overall we played a very good game, I thought, in terms of the result and the way we was managing the game. It was just that end period. So I don't think there'll be
game in the last game, at least the first half, which I find so strange in comparison. I thought it was so much worse today than in the first half against Palace.
I just think we had more of the ball, so he probably looks better to you. Whereas I think today he had to do a lot of dirty work, which is actually probably one of his best attributes. Like, there was quite a few times in the game where he won tackles, which were like Kante-esque tackles. Like, he was going across to the ball and like he nipped in and like, one possession. Like, those are the things I want to see from him more than actually being on the ball a lot and just passing it about, So I think today's game actually suited him a little bit, but I won't go too high. I'll probably go 6.5, I think, for Caicedo.
There you go. I certainly think Caicedo was quite a bit better than Gallagher was today, absolutely. And I do agree there was some very strong tackles in there today. And I was happy to see that because that was something I felt like I've not seen enough of from him over recent months. I mean, when I bring up a different stats,
we do have most of the ball each game, so it's like he doesn't really get a chance to show off that like off the ball work. And when he has,
but he's he had recently like what 4 out of 13 duels, for example, he had in a game and 4 fouls given away.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, when he does do that so far, he's like been mistiming the tackles, but everyone knows
today the time was better. I agree. That's very true.
It's the timing more than anything. I think with him is if he gets it right, like they come off so clean. But there's some where he just like takes out the player, and you're like, "What are you doing?" So
yeah. That's the only thing I'll add another question onto it, Pies. Obviously, the game was the way it was, but if Gallagher is his midfield partner, when he's Enzo, then the emphasis or the impetus in ball possession is more on Enzo than it is on Caicedo. But when he's playing with Gallagher, I would argue it's more on Caicedo than it is on Gallagher in terms of retaining possession, keeping possession, controlling the game.
I think it was, but Gallagher was just like I honestly I can't remember a game where I've looked at our team, especially off the ball, and I've seen we have a pivot. Like one's always so much far forward than the other, and it pisses me off because you might as well just say you're playing a lone 6 and play a 4-3-3 at that point, right? That's more of what we do, more than a 4-2-3-1 from what I'm seeing every game. Like it's on the ball, yeah. Sometimes we have a 4-2-3-1 on the ball, right? Cool, we have possession, especially at home. But off the ball, I think our structure is terrible, and that's why we get destroyed so much in midfield because there's just so much space, and it doesn't matter who we're playing. Off the ball, we get murdered, and I don't know why. Why is it like it has to be the manager's tactics because it's not the players, is it? The players don't. Gallagher's not going forward, but because he wants to go forward and leaving Caicedo by himself. That's because he's been told to go forward, win the ball high up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's It's a difficult one. I don't know. I feel like the perception would be way different if we had a different manager with a different sort of
Well, we
philosophy.
said that
but
last year. Did we just
yeah.
get 2 bad managers, or
Yeah, I think so, bro. Honestly, I think so.
yeah?
I think
How
I think
many
Poch is
more rounds are
outdated,
we going to
bro.
have to do until it's not just the manager anymore? Remember, we did that in the last squad. We changed manager after manager after manager, and in the end, it was like, it's the players, because it can't
No,
all the managers be
I
bad.
think Poch,
Initially, it was always the manager. Remember,
I
it's the
think
same thing
Poch
starting
is.
all over again.
I think Poch's tactics are outdated, bro. We've been judging this guy on his Spurs tenure, which was like 5-6 years ago. The Prem's evolved a lot since then,
It does.
and I think
Poch
you had
hasn't,
you had
unfortunately.
Alex on here right after the Palace game.
Yeah.
And I know he's been harping on it. He's been telling me Poch, his tactics, man. PSG was washed,
Yeah,
and
he did.
I don't know what he said in that stream, but I know I saw him tweeting. He was like, "What is Poch doing? What is Poch doing last game?" So I have to put blame on the manager, man. I'm not saying Caicedo has not been great since he joined, but it's like I know there's so much more there with him, and same with Enzo, same with most of our players, to be honest. Colwill at centre back, I want to see him at centre back. You know, when Chilwell comes back, Colwill better not play fucking left back. You know, like
He will probably play Chilwell left wing and have Sterling, Madueke.
Oh, bro, don't
Sorry,
start that,
Sterling
please.
and Mudryk and Madueke all of the bench. And
if
Sterling
I
playing right
see
wing.
Chilwell left wing ever again, I'm gonna do some bad things.
No, he's going to do it. You know, already. Do you know what I mean? 6.5. Thumbs. What would you give Caicedo? Would you go along with a 6.5? And I'm sorry, boys. I know I keep asking questions, but we need to try to keep it a little bit shorter, because otherwise we're literally going to be here for 3 hours.
Your mic's on mute.
Oh,
Yeah, you're muted. You're muted.
Okay, no, yeah. I'd say 6.5 for Caicedo as well. I thought, yeah, as Pai said, I thought this was the perfect game for him to show what he's made of. Have that sort of Kante sort of S performance, where we see Kante do this number of times for us in the past, and I thought Caicedo did that well for us today. But yeah, there's definitely more to see from him, and that grid thing that Pai's tweeted as well just shows that we're not using Caicedo correctly, man. Honestly, and yeah, there's definitely so much more to come from him. I'll keep it short and sweet. Yeah, I'm not worried about Caicedo at all for the future. I think he's definitely going to be a superstar for us. Yeah, 6.5 I go with.
fair dues. Mo, would you go along with a 6.5 or go for something different?
And I'm gonna do this as a combination. So with Gallagher, yeah, and
Okay.
I will say Caicedo for me gets a 7. And the reason I keep saying that is because whenever he's played in that position, that graph that Pai shared is something I see far too often. And even if it's not replicated on that, the amount of times in transitions that we get caught out, and it's that guy by himself having to mark all of that space, I cannot stand it. It's something I do blame the manager on, but it's something that I also blame partly on the players, because the players are being asked to press. Don't get me wrong, but some of the pressing I see from some of our players, they lack intelligence. They lack like an actual structure where you do it together as players rather than doing it as individuals and just exposing spaces for teams to exploit. So for me, Caicedo today had one of his more solid performances where defensively I thought he was really good and he was winning the ball in the right areas, besides maybe a couple of moments where he did concede free kicks. And other than that, to me, I thought he had a very solid performance. I was quite happy with him. As for Gallagher, I'm sorry, but far too many fouls. The pressing is absolutely mad and far too erratic. And I'm sorry, like this is why I've said that I understand Gallagher is performing out of his skin, but bro, I can't actually excuse this. For me, Gallagher gets a 4 today because I thought that's the type of performances I cannot personally stand. I cannot watch somebody just be so erratic and not be so useful on the ball, but be even worse on the aspect that people love to compliment him on so much. Off the ball today, for me, I thought he was literally a loose cannon. I can't. Did he even get booked today? Because I was expecting him to get booked. He did get booked.
Oh, he did get booked.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Gallagher didn't get booked.
I
He
swear
didn't.
Yeah, I thought he didn't.
Well, Fotmob is saying he didn't. That's all I can go by.
Well, if that's the case, then I don't know how he's managed to get away with it. But bro, the amount of times I'm watching this guy.
Just ask a question on top of that now that I've brought the graph up. The only thing I'll say is, obviously Gallagher was clearly high, but I'll be honest, I didn't notice him be this high as this graph suggests. Like higher than Palmer and on average higher than Madueke. I'm not sure if I necessarily. And did I see Madueke on average being as low, as deep as Gusto? I think I find that a bit hard to believe.
Gallagher just presses like a madman. That's why at times.
Bro,
that's why.
he's just
Yeah, but when you're pressing, that's not your average position, though, is it?
But there was
presses like
times
he's
where I
got
did see
cannon,
Gallagher
man.
like right up the pitch, and it's just like,
Yeah,
what are you
no,
doing there?
absolutely.
You're
Again,
meant to
obviously,
be-
he was clearly higher than Caicedo and everything.
You're meant to be in the pivot as
higher than
like I said
Palmer and
before, yeah.
Madueke seems a bit crazy to me. I mean, it could well be true. Again, I'm not trying to dispute it. I mean, when you see an average positions of Silva score, which isn't necessarily in this time frame, so that obviously can change things. Palmer and Madueke are higher. I guess I can get this on screen in a second. So we can look at that as well. But regardless of that, now that I've brought it up, Mo, just quickly on the shape, whether it is quite like this or what I'm going to bring up in a second, why does he choose to do this? Especially when the problem we've had for most of the game is keeping possession past their press. That was really our problem. That's why we had so little of the ball. And then Luton got the ball and kind of just passed it around the back. That's why they had so much of the ball until they played it down the wing and crossed, and then either lost it or had a chance. But it's it seems like the Lampard hexagon again. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what bothers me with it? It's like we were having this conversation on the space, and we were speaking about just our midfield imbalance. And I kept on telling them, guys, there's a reason why some of our players in midfield are just struggling, and Gallagher just seems to be the one that's performing. I said we are misusing, in my opinion. And at the beginning, my excuse for Poch was you don't have a Lavia, you don't have somebody that can actually do more of the sitting aspect of things. And Ugochukwu is not on the level that he needs to be. The kid needs to be sent out alone. That's how I kind of viewed it, right? But I look at Enzo and Caicedo's profiles and I remember what I saw them both do really well. They're very different profiles from each other, but for me, they're hybrid eights that should be doing either box-to-box stuff or should be doing dictation type of stuff. Instead, what I see him do is he'll throw in Enzo like he did today, say to Enzo, go high up the pitch. Who's going to find Enzo? Because none of the other guys are good at that aspect of the game. Gallagher is not good at finding Enzo. And Caicedo likes these interlinked short passes where he plays with people, but it's like in closer distances. We don't get any of that stuff. And I'm like, Pochettino, like you've watched now 20 plus games of this team. And I'm like, there is no way you can tell me that you have not understood this, because I'm watching it and I'm like, this is not correct.
That's what I was saying, bro. Like, he brought Caicedo on, Enzo on, and
yeah.
The commentators were like, this is a good time to bring Enzo on because he'll bring some control. And I was thinking, yeah, true. And then I saw him, bro. He was like left centre mid, but like as a number 8, like an attacking number 8. I was like, what the fuck's going on? This guy's not even in a position to get the ball. Like, it's just like how he uses some of these players is just baffles me, honestly. I genuinely think if Pochettino had Jorginho, bro, he'd play him as a number 8. I'm convinced.
Honestly, I can't lie. I don't even disagree with you there. Now, he's misprofiling a lot.
If you don't believe me, go and watch that game back when he skip to when he brought Enzo on. Like the first time he touched the ball, I think he was like trying to dribble. He was near the fucking touchline. What's going on, man?
It's so weird.
Hold on. I've got it on screen now.
Mm-hmm.
This is
honestly, this is disgusting. I told you,
I hate it. I honestly, for me, I'm like, you wonder why Enzo doesn't actually do the job that we want him to be doing more of. It's because we've taken him away from it.
We've control, and he's nearly in attack. Like, what are you doing?
This nearly as high as bloody Broja. What the fuck?
No wonder he played bad. Like, what the fuck?
Oh my days.
Poch probably saying to him as well. He's probably saying, just, I don't know, go change the game or something, or go do what you want.
It's this obsession with pressing, but it's like, okay, let's be a pressing team, right? Okay, if we was to be a pressing team, be there collectively, like do it all together, or don't send individuals out just on a mission impossible for no damn reason when we're not going to win the ball, because clearly teams are getting better at playing out from the back. That is generally the actual
pretty
truth.
Decent at it, to be fair to them.
Yeah, and the annoying thing for me is, right, the reason why the space in the middle gets exposed is because our defensive line is not as high as it needs to be to make sure that Caicedo is not in a tons of space by himself trying to cover it.
The problem is when we do that, regardless of Thiago playing or not, we run into so many counters that we don't know how to deal with that either.
It's again, if the team is not used to it, of course you're going to face those issues. But if the team is used to it, look at what, for example, Spurs are doing with Ange. the more he played them doing that stuff, the more they got used to it and got comfortable. And the thing is, for me, I have to admit, when I'm watching some of the stuff I'm watching right now, I'm like, it's like Pochettino is not looking at these players and understanding exactly what their profile or what their strengths are, and instead he's choosing to play them against the thing that benefits them. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. For me, Caicedo, like, again, someone, I think it was Kevin that put a comment saying that he thinks I'm saying Caicedo is good at dictation. It's not that. For me, he's like an 8-to-8. He's an hybrid 8 that is box to box, and he's good at winning the ball. He's good at being in certain areas and making the simple passes link up. Simple as. Like, he will do that job.
He did do more than that.
No, but he also dropped deep when he needed to, where him and McAllister would switch roles. And that's what I'm trying to say. You need that type of fluidity. We don't have that in midfield. And right now, what we're saying is, Caicedo, you stick it in the middle, and then the two people that are supposed to play next to him and give him some sort of options of passes are standing way further up ahead. He ain't got the options. He's going to pass back more often than he needs to. And it's annoying. It's annoying, bro, because it's not his fault. It's what we're doing as a setup. And that is, for me, a manager situation.
Yeah, and of course also how opponents set up. They know, well, if you stop it, it's not the same, but it's a bit like when we had it with Jorginho. They when he tried to receive the ball, they might mark Jorginho, but once Jorginho was off the ball, they all stood off him and tried to mark everyone that Georgie could pass to. And that's a little bit what they do with Caicedo too. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one because, I mean, Mo, did you give me a rating for Caicedo? 7, you said, right?
7 for Caicedo, 4 for Gallagher. For me.
Yeah, there you go. I would probably give Caicedo, because defensively he was strong. But in terms of control, as much as I hear what you're saying, and that's not his main thing, and there was reasons why he struggled to do that, there's still a case of me when we played Luton. We paid £150 million for you. You should control the game better than you did.
I mean, you could technically argue for 70 minutes, we almost did. For almost 70 minutes, collectively, we did.
In that period, we had barely more than half of the possession against Luton.
Oh, you're talking about just having the ball more often. I thought you meant
not necessarily just having the ball more often, but the reason because we didn't. I disagree. I'm not sure if anyone said it, but I don't think we aimed to not have the ball. We didn't try to constantly lose it. We had it, passed it, lost it constantly, and then Luton had the ball, passed it around the back a little bit, and then it took a while until we got the ball back. Hence why the possession wasn't like usual, where we have the large majority of it. But Who's to blame for losing the ball constantly? Sure, the attackers, they lost it too soon, absolutely. But also the base of the midfield is supposed to help us control the game. And I don't feel like we did that on the ball. Off the ball, we did until the last 20 minutes. But on the ball, I don't think we did do that. So that's why I'm not going to go quite as high, but I still think because he was defensively so strong, I'm going to say 5.5. I'm going to say 5.5. And I know people are going to say, how are you giving him less than half? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, I will. What you going to do about it? What is that? 25.5, I think, in total. Yeah, there you go. Divide that by 4. It's still 6.5. So we leave it with that. You gave a 4 to Gallagher, Mo. Dams, what would you give Gallagher?
I think a 0.5 above. I give him a 4.5. Yeah, it wasn't his greatest game today. Obviously, there's the transfer rumor about him going to Spurs. Whether how true that is or how likely that is. He's definitely, for me, been our best player this season so far, Conor Gallagher. But today, he wasn't great. And not a lot of Chelsea fans will say that, to be honest, because they have this fetish for him for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, I didn't think he was that great today. Just erratic, no control when you need it in tough times. Captain as well. Yeah, I'll give him a 4.5.
There you go. Interestingly, he has the best passing accuracy of the lot of them, seemingly. Oh no, Caicedo had 97, man. He had way higher. But he has more than all the defenders do, which is interesting. But yeah, I agree. I thought Gallagher was poor today. He didn't really manage to get in the tackle much. Why can't they let me fucking scroll, man? Just let me scroll. Cheers. 2 out of 3 tackles, 1 ground duels, bloody 4 out of 11 for Gallagher is shocking. That's really poor. You say 4.5. Mo said 4. Pice, what would you give Gallagher?
Like a 3. Thought he was terrible.
Whoa. Okay.
I thought I was being harsh. Oh my God.
I thought I was being harsh as well. 3.
Bro, this guy, honestly,
Fairs.
I like Gallagher, but today was dreadful. He gave away. How many fouls did he give away, by the way? I felt
Right,
like.
I
scroll
lost
down,
count,
scroll
bro.
down.
How many
I
fouls?
lost count, bro.
Six, yeah.
Six.
It felt more than that, man. I
Bro,
swear to
he
God.
was headless chicken today. Let's
But
be
he didn't
honest.
get yellow card.
Nope, didn't.
I felt like he
don't
should
know
have.
how.
He should have scored early on in the game as well.
Yeah,
I
he
felt
should have
like.
done.
He had a good chance, yeah.
Or at
Well,
least get a better shot off than he did.
But to be honest, though, like Gallagher's allowed a bad game. Like he's been so good for us this season. So,
And
yeah,
like you touched on, right, Pice or Mo, this game maybe was a better game suited to Caicedo, but on the other hand, it was the opposite for Gallagher. I
like,
think for Gallagher, it was.
Did you do play ratings for the Palace game or not? Because
I did, yeah, of course I did.
I thought he was really good against Palace.
Yeah,
but
I think
today,
we gave him like a 7.5 or something.
yeah, today, nah, not really good.
No, I do agree. It's a tricky one. I mean, you said now 3. Let me bring up the other thing again. My days, switching tabs here. 2 4s, 1 3. I honestly agree with the 3. It's just a bit harsh that now is the only time someone else is agreeing with my low ratings. That's why Gallagher now looks really bad in comparison to all the others. For me, that he's quite in line with most of the others in terms of rating, just a little bit lower. But yeah, it's just one good today in any way. He gave away the ball, not necessarily with his passing, but in terms of like just the way he moved around. But then again, if we look at the positions, is that really all his fault? I don't know, man. It's a tough one. But let's not get too hung up on it for too long. Let's move up the pitch and we get to Cole Palmer, Mr. Cold Palmer himself. My days. What a set of goals that was. I mean, the first one, he essentially set it up. Then Jackson was being Jackson and just for no reason tried to shoot into a space that was this big instead of squaring it to Broja. I'm not saying he would have come off, but it could have come off if he just chose to square it, but he chose not to. But luckily, Kabore, who is in my FPL team, only on the bench, he's only the filler for, cheap, but he passed it straight to Palmer. And what a shot that is, by the way. What an effort. Absolute banger. And then
apparently he can't shoot. Apparently he can't shoot.
Yeah, who said that?
Who said that?
There's some people in our fan base that believe this.
Mate, that's mental. It's saying Palmer can't shoot, mate. If Palmer can't shoot, who the flip can? Do you know what I mean? But that second goal, man, that's just... First of all, shout out to Jackson. That through ball was fantastic. But the touch, it's like he played FIFA in real life. Like in FIFA when you're playing a friendly, and rather than shooting, because the goalkeeper save everything in FIFA, you roll it round. You do the ball roll. And that's literally what he did. And then he didn't even stop there. He stopped it again to let the player slide past him. Oh my God. What a goal. Such a shame for him because that was 3-0 at the time. If we just see the game out, maybe add a fourth to it on top of it, all we're sat here doing is blasting about how great Cole Palmer is. Unfortunately, we now had to blast about how we nearly bottled it. But my God, that was utterly phenomenal. I would say 9, even though other than the 2 goals, he barely did anything. But the lack of tracking back at the end, that did annoy me. So I'm going to lower it to an 8.5. Maybe I should even say 8. But that did annoy me. And it did lead to a lot of the pressure that we did concede against us, if I'm being honest. But yeah, the 2 goals were so brilliant and so decisive in us winning that game that I think I have to go quite high. And therefore, I'm saying 8.5 thumbs. What would you give Palmer?
Yeah, what a player, man. Honestly, we're so lucky that we have this guy because even when he's not playing well, say in other games, he still produces goals and assists. Like Old Trafford's one, for example, where out of nothing he scores for us and gets us back in the game. Obviously, we lose the game, but today, man, just some of his movement, his passing, the shooting as well, man, and like the confidence as well. And the cockiness, I rate it so much, man. Like we haven't had a player like that in ages. And yeah, I think both of those goals, as I said, like the first goal was reminiscent to remind me a bit of Reece James's goal against Juve, obviously without the chest down and the strike. But obviously from the left side of the way it went in, the side net into the goal was like wow, like
to find that gap between the defender and to put it so far in the corner, the keeper can't get it. Brilliant.
It's honestly mad. And then obviously that second goal we scored, wow, like great ball by Disasi into Jackson. Jackson turns through ball into Palmer, goes around the keeper. As I said, this reminded me of that Luis Suarez goal against Newcastle minus the 40-yard pass. Honestly, just took it round. Even what was it? Giroud as well scored a similar goal like that
against
well.
Southampton. Yeah,
so very similar. Just took it around the keeper, composed. And then, yeah, man, just what a signing. I think he's definitely our best signing this season for sure. I don't think anyone can have any debates with that. And yeah, long may it continue. He might even get a call up to the Euros at this if he continues the rate he is.
If he does, that's an outrage, to be honest. After the season he's having, he's only. I mean, at Chelsea, he's only what, the 5th, was it, or 6th under 21s that has more than 10 goal contributions in a season, and we're only at the 19th league game. You know, only 5 others have managed this before: Hazard, Pulisic, Mount, and Ian Robin. I think that's all of them, right? So 4 so far, and he's now the 5th, and he's only half the season. God knows how many goal contributions he's going to have. Also, obviously, 4 penalties did help, but still.
I think also it'll be interesting to see how he gels with Nkunku as well when he's fully fit and ready and stuff. See how they both integrate the team together and see how they both sort of link up. Because I think that'll be something quite special for us.
Well, unless Nkunku plays up front, then we learn today how that's going to go.
yeah. But then again, Palmer's been obviously playing the right time, so. Sorry, what was that?
Did you agree with the 8.5?
Oh, yeah, 8. I'll stick with an 8.5. I mean, yeah, just breathtaking today.
There you go. Can I just say, by the way, how the flip are Wolves 3-0 up against Everton exactly?
Bro, they're cooking lately.
I don't know what's going on.
Everton have been cooking too, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Gary O'Neill, man. Gary O'Neill.
Literally, what a guy. And Palace as well. As soon as Olise is back, these lot know how to win 3-1 against Brentford out of flip. And also, Burnley at 2-1 to Villa receive a red card. All of a sudden, Burnley equalise. What the flip is going on? Watkins is my captain. He's not even done fuck all yet.
He's got 2 assists, bro.
Okay, that's good then. I haven't seen that. Very nice. 2 8.5 so far then. Palmer, speak to me.
Well, what can you say that you haven't said already? I mean, he's been incredible for us, really. Like, you know, the consistency as well. Like, I know he's not moved leagues, but, you know, he's been at Manchester the whole of his life. You know, coming to Chelsea, he is doing what Sterling should have done for us, right? And Palmer is
literally, when you look at what Sterling did the whole time, and then I look at Palmer,
like Sterling is way older. He came to be that guy, you know. Palmer didn't come to be that guy. Palmer was just another attacking addition. We didn't even know if this guy was going to be a starter for us. Like, we didn't know. Like, let's be honest, it was one of those signings that kind of went under the radar. Our interest was revealed very quickly. We thought we was going to get Elise, and you know, he's doing what Sterling should have done for us. He's taking responsibility and he's scoring goals and he's assisting the goals. I think it's 7 league goals, 4 assists. Obviously got penalties, but what I would say with the penalties is one was against Man City in the last minute, one was against Arsenal. So it's not like he stat padded penalties against like rubbish teams where there's no pressure. He's had a lot of pressure on his shoulders to deliver, and he's just like, I don't know who said it, but I agree. I like the cockiness, the arrogance to him. Like, we needed someone like this in attack. We haven't had players in attack that take responsibility, that shoot, that, you know, have that like a little bit of arrogance to them. Like, that's why I like Madueke as well, because I've always felt like he has that like little bit of like self-confidence, a little bit more than other players in terms of like, you know, I can take you on, I can beat you. I've got that little bit about me. That's why I liked him last season. I've been advocating towards him this season because we were so bad last season. But even still, there was a few games I remember from Madueke. It was like Bournemouth away, Arsenal away. I was like, yeah, this guy's a really good player. And he even when we're shit, he's got that arrogance about him. And that's what Palmer's delivered for us. And that's what we needed in attack. So I'm going to go 9, honestly. I think it could have been a 10, but I agree towards the end did falter a little bit defensively. But I have to give him a 9. That second goal was so good. Like, I could watch that replay. The ball roll past the keeper was just too clean.
Yeah,
I have to give him a 9. And the first goal was brilliant as well. When's the last time we had a player like smash a goal in like that for us? Like, bro, no one even shoots from there for us. Like, no one else is going to shoot from there. Like, his first thought was to shoot. One of the major issues with our attack is the lack of confidence in their shooting. It's, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Are people going to kill me if I say Palmer has a lot of Ziyech about him, but somehow Palmer is managing to make it work? Because they're both heavily left-footed. They're both not the fastest. They're both outrageously saucy, outrageously a little bit arrogant. They can press super hard, but then they also have random days where they can't be bothered to drag back anymore, like Palmer in that last bit of the game. I'm like, you run all the time, you press all the time, but now you all of a sudden can't be bothered. It's a bit strange. Smells so much of Ziyech. Ziyech with Pep education. That's what Palmer is to me.
That's fair. Yeah,
that's
but he's just managed to make it work, and Ziyech unfortunately didn't, and that's the best proof. And I'm not saying Palmer is now worse than Ziyech or better than Ziyech. It's not even a conversation I'm having. I'm just saying there's certain similarities there. But that's the best proof that it's not always about how good is a player, how bad is a player, what personality or stylistically what is a player like. Sometimes it just goes your way and sometimes it doesn't go your way. And I think that's what Palmer is experiencing right now. The fact that Enzo missed that penalty right against West Ham. If Enzo doesn't miss that penalty, maybe Palmer never gets to take those penalties. And those penalties, in my opinion, were what really elevated Palmer in confidence levels, in levels within the team. I felt like that helped him step up, being allowed to take those pens. If Enzo scores his, maybe Enzo takes all of them, right? And then who knows what happens with Palmer? It's so interesting. But Mo, finish it off for us. 2 8.5s and 1 9 from Picefield Cole Palmer. What would you give him today?
I had another 9, man, because, man, Cole Palmer, I'm telling you right now, this is a kid that I generally didn't know what the hell we were going to do with him when we signed him. And he has fully flawed. He's flawed me, bro. I did not expect this type of contribution from him so quickly. And it's so refreshing to see a player be as confident as he is with it, be as saucy as he is with it. And he's so quick to take responsibility. He's not shying away at any point. And I can't wait to see what he does next, man, because I do think if as a team we find consistency and we find a stability, this kid is just going to do even more than what we're seeing currently right now. And what people don't want to speak about is for the price that we got him and for the contribution that we're getting out of him, this is easily our best signing so far this season. And I can't wait to see what else he can contribute to this team, man. And that finish for that third goal, I generally was speechless. But as much as I want to say I'm speechless, in that same moment, the first thing it made me think about was Raheem Sterling. I'm like, yep, Raheem Sterling would have never done this. No. Like, there's no fucking way he would have had this level of composure to round the keeper like that and still be aware. And he got interviewed after the game, being asked about that third goal, and he said, yep, I knew someone was right there and I didn't want him to block my shot, so I kind of waited for a second just so I could tap it in. I was like, bro, that's it. To sign him, like, bro, give him a new contract as far as I'm concerned, because this is give what I need in my team. Yeah, man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, man. I'm so happy for the kid, man.
There you go. As am I. And even looking at the stats, 2 out of 2 dribbles, 5 out of 6 long balls. Do you know what I mean? 3 out of 4 shots also going on target. Even if the first of those 3 that went on target was a bit poor. Remember in the chat, Aaron was like, Palmer, if you're going to shoot with power. And then look at the 2 goals he scored after. Obviously, the second one didn't have power, but still. Duels as well is all right. 50%. Like, it's not amazing, but it's all right for an attacking player. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. All right. Obviously, we've had 2 8.5s and 1 and 2 9s. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've put a poll in the chat. So please place your votes between an 8.5 and a 9. We'll move on for now and we'll come back to it and give it the rating you guys went for. Moving on to Noni Madueke. Well, he is kind of thrown egg in Poch's face, hasn't he? What a goal, by the way. What an outrageous goal. I mean, the whole move was super nice, but what a finish as well. On his weak foot too. And I kept saying last season that I think one of Madueke's issues is how extremely one-footed he is. Now, it's still an issue for example, Cole Palmer, for my opinion. Maybe that's where the comparison for Ziyech came from. But that weak foot finish is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So fair play, Noni. Was he the best outside of that? Maybe not. But he did assist that Gallagher chance early on in the game, so could have had an assist from that too. And was active, tried to keep the ball. First half, he was trying to defend a lot. Second half, a little bit less so. But mostly, who came off for Enzo? Was it Noni that came off?
Yeah, it was Noni, I think. Yeah,
it was.
It was Noni, yeah.
Yeah,
there you go. So that didn't really work. We were helped out defensively much better by Madueke than we were by Palmer, which that's interesting. It's a tough one because I've seen people say, egg in Poch's face, which I just said as well, because obviously there's been talk that Madueke is a light trainer, and that's maybe why he hasn't got in the team as much. On the one hand, it's egg in Poch's face. Why didn't you play him sooner? On the other hand, I also think it's a bit of egg in Noni's face, because if you just trained a bit harder, you would have played a lot more and you would have had a lot more hype. You probably would have had a lot more goals because you clearly can do it. So all that really lacked so far was training harder. So when you hear it like that, that's also like, just train harder. And then some people say Hazard was a light trainer as well. I'm like, that's not comparable. Do not dare compare Madueke to Eden Hazard. That is not a thing. Also compared to what they achieved before joining us, is a very different scenario of where Madueke is compared to where Hazard was. Hazard was young, but still destroyed Liga literally on his own. Won Lille the title, got more than 20 goals, more than 20 assists in the same season. It's outrageous. And that's not the same as Noni. Just work a bit harder. And no, he's not, because Noni is also left-footed. But well done, mate. Yeah. In rating, outside of the goals, I think he was better than Palmer, but now Palmer's gotten super high ratings. It's just the two finishes from Palmer were outrageous. I think Madueke was a bit better otherwise. I think he worked harder defensively. I think, I was quite happy with Madueke, but I also feel bad going too high, but I'm going to say 8, I'm going to say 8. Mo, I left you until the very end for the last one. I let you go first on this one. 8 okay for you? Have I gone too high on this one? I don't know. Maybe I have. A lot of people said 6, 7.5, 7. So maybe I've gone too high for this one.
And I'd say 7 from me. And I don't know if I would say you've gone too high. I think maybe the thing is, we all know what's better pressure.
I changed it to a 7.5. I changed it to a 7.5. But you go. Sorry.
Because I do think he's been under a lot of pressure. A lot of people like talking about his future. A lot of people saying that he doesn't train hard. Pochettino obviously adding insult to injury by obviously kind of making public statements about it as well. I think he's taking his chances really well. And today's finish for me was actually very, very, very good. And it surprised people. But I do think finishing is actually one of his stronger parts of his game. He just needs to be on the pitch to do it, and he needs to actually make sure that he gets his head down and uses this opportunity to his advantage. I thought he took his opportunity well today. Defensively did really well. I felt like he dropped off in the second half. That's why I'm giving him a 7, and that's why I wasn't really surprised that we ended up taking him off in this towards the latter part of the second half. But otherwise, brilliant performance. I look forward to seeing what he does as well.
There you go. Fair play. A 7 and a 7.5 so far. Then Pice, I'll go to you. Where would you go for Noni's rating?
Well, it's worked out quite well because my rating was 7.5. So, we've had a 7, we've had an 8.
I've changed mine to a 7.5 again, sorry.
All right. Okay, so 2 7.5. But yeah, fantastic finish. Like on his weak foot as well. I didn't expect that. That goal was very, very, very reminiscent of Pulisic against Crystal Palace. If anyone remembers that away.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Very, very reminiscent. I was like getting major throwback vibes, but yeah, man, I'm just so happy for him. Everyone knows I'm a fan of him. I think he's a really good talent. And I see the defensive work rate thing. I definitely do, but at the same time, he plays Sterling every game. He doesn't track back either. So I don't really have much sympathy for Poch there. So Mudryk is opposite. Mudryk works very, very hard, but yeah, look, I think Madueke today was just so threatening every time he got the ball. I felt like something was going to happen. And I always feel like that with him. Like, the only times I don't is when he gets like double or triple marked, which did happen at some points. But I thought Gusta helped him out quite well in the first half, especially. So, yeah, I'm happy with him. Even stuff like you said there, like 9 out of 14 ground duels, some stuff you don't even, realize how
that's really good for an attacker,
There was one moment where I said I thought it was Disasi because I was like, there's no way Madueke could be in our box. There was a header that came out from him. He headed it out from a really good cross, and the commentator said it was Madueke, and it was. And I was like, wow, I thought it was one of our defenders. I thought it was Disasi because, like, what the hell was he doing in the box? That just goes to show that clearly he's been told to work hard defensively. And in a way, it's paying off. Pochettino's, I guess, man management of him, but I don't know, because there is times where he could have definitely been given more of a chance. Like Pochettino even said, like after the Palace game, like he showed why I could trust him. Well, you could have put more faith in him before, and I'm sure he would have done just fine. But it is what it is, and I hope he keeps his place, because I did see Pochettino say, like, the first thing he was asked about Madueke, and the first thing he said was how players were missing. And I was like, well, that isn't really what you should say once after he just won you the last game. So that kind of told me that Sterling's going to come straight back in, but I don't know, man. We'll
I don't know if it's Sterling because he wasn't missing today, but
or maybe Palmer and Kunku. I don't know, Palmer,
Mudryk, I guess,
Yeah, it was just just a weird one, but you can't really drop him at the moment. He's doing well. He should keep his place on merit for sure.
I agree. Dams, finish it off for us. 2 7.5s, 1 7. What would you give Madueke?
Yeah, first thing I'd like to say is, has Bukayo Saka ever scored a goal with his weak foot? I don't think so. Mate. Nah, I'm taking the piss. Nah, honestly, nah. Madueke, man, like, won us the last game. Today, scored a really good goal, and you brought up the stats, man. He's worked hard as well. He's put his head down, like, fair enough. Like, yeah, come back into the team. Yeah, with Noni, it's a weird one because, like, I always see more of an impact player than more of a starter, to be honest with you. I think maybe that's just how us as Chelsea fans are used to seeing him, to be honest, is more of an impact player coming off the bench. But I just feel like some of the moments that he can produce for us, I think will be better off the bench, for example. That's just my opinion, but I definitely think he performed really well today. And yeah, rightfully deserves to start the next game. I believe it's Preston at home we've got. And yeah, it'll be good to carry over that confidence into that game. So yeah, I'd have to agree with 7.5. I don't know what you boys think in the chat as well, but I don't know if you boys see him more of an impact player more than someone starting regularly. I don't know.
I don't know, really. I think it always depends on form a little bit. I think, for example, one like Mudryk, I think Mudryk should always start, not come on. But between like a Madueke or a Sterling or whatever, like Sterling's experience hasn't really helped in anything. So from that perspective, I'm like, why on earth would I start Sterling? Like, he's just old and earning way too much money. At the same time, he earns all that money, so you might as well start him. Yeah, I think for now, Madueke should keep starting. If he then drops in performance again, you can put him on a bench and let him come on as an impact sub. And yeah, because he's so young and has played so little football in his career, I think we'll need to wait and see a little bit to have a conclusive.
I think it's the explosiveness of him as well, because I always see him as like when fullbacks are shattered after like 75, 80 minutes, I just see him being that guy, just comes on, just absolutely bolts through.
But surely you can say that for Sterling all the same, though.
But I just don't think Sterling has that trickery that Madueke does, where he can go on both feet. That's what I think.
He can, but he just doesn't show it very often for us.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Sterling just goes sideways all the time.
Just
yeah,
a bit shit, isn't he?
Nah, come on, man. Respect Sterling, man.
Nah, not respecting that guy. Jackson, then. Some of the chat think he was phenomenal. Mo thinks he was decent. Most of us think he wasn't that great. Dums, I feel like I've not allowed you to go first on any of these. So why don't I do that for you for Jackson? What did you make of him today, and what rating would that end up with?
I didn't think it was Jackson's best game today. It just every aerial duel he wasn't winning at all. Like, I remember he was just getting gobbled up every time the ball went to him on the left, and that's one of the things that we look out for. But then again, he got the assist as well for Palmer's goal. Then he got that tackle at the end as well. So it's so hard to put him down so much. I mean, like, I think it's just context during the game where you just see stuff that you're not sort of impressed with. So, yeah, Jackson, man, would I give him? I'd give him a 5.5. I don't know if that's harsh or not, or if it's too lenient. I'm not sure. But just from what I've seen during the game, I was just frustrated most of the time. And then he goes and produces an assist on that tackle at the end. It's just like, he's played a big part in us getting 3 points, to be honest. So he's just one of them. Yeah,
it's true. It's true. I'll go to Pice. A 5.5 from Dams. I'll bring up some stats too. 81 pass accuracy, 81%, I should say. Okay, 2 shots, but I mean, they were both shit, even if they went on target. Successful dribbles, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Long balls, 2 out of 2, can't really remember them, but fair dues. Unless the assist counts as a long ball, but do on the floor passes, even if they're a far distance, count as long balls. I don't know. The dual stats, not anywhere near as good. 1-6, lost 13. Of course, was up against the defenders, but he played on the left wing, just like Madueke played on the right wing, and compare Madueke's dual stats to Jackson's. So, Pice, what would you give him after the 5.5 from Damesh?
I'll give him a 6 because he got the assist and it was good play for the assist. It wasn't just like a little 5-yard pass. And also that tackle at the end deserves way more praise, by the way. That was like the fact he was there getting back. I'm very impressed with that. And yeah, I thought overall his game wasn't good. I thought his hold-up play was terrible. He was moaning and sulking that he wasn't getting the fouls. I'm not saying the ref was good or anything. He was pretty shit, but I felt like he could have showed a little bit more fight and a little bit more threat. But yeah, I'll go over 6. It wasn't a great game, but assist, good defensive work. I guess unfamiliar position, I suppose, in the Premier League at least. So yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those. It's nothing too deep. 6, I'd say.
Fair dues. A 5.5 and a 6 so far. Then Mo, what would you give him? You at the beginning you sounded more happy with him than the other guys, but now the other guys gave him an average rating as well. How would you even go higher than this, or was it just different use of words at the beginning?
And yeah, I think for me, I'd give him a 6. And I also think the assist, the tackle, the first stuff in particular for me, I thought he was working hard, getting back, making sure that he was doing the job that he was supposed to. And in fact, the goal that we scored, the goal that Madueke scored, and the link up that happened with Colwill was actually down to Jackson actually dropping deep and being able to do that link up play that actually allowed that to happen. There are little aspects of his game where I do think he is improving, but there was a lot to also be frustrated at today. But his bar is so low in terms of what he's been doing lately that this was actually a more of a decent effort from him today. So that's why for me he gets a 6, nothing more than a 6. I think that because of the assist in particular for me, and I thought that was really good. And it honestly, we don't get that goal, and we're talking about a draw and not a 3-2 win today. So yeah, I'll give it its credit.
There you go. I'm stuck a little bit because I kind of want to go 5.5 as well, but then we're kind of in the middle again. I mean, I could do another poll, but ladies and gentlemen, you definitely need to vote more for the Cole Palmer one. So get involved and place your vote, please. Hit the like button as well while you're clicking things. Because something in me also wants to give him a 5, but that does feel harsh considering the assist was really, really good. And Pice did also make a bit of a reasonable point in terms of playing out of position. I give that benefit of the doubt to Colwill at left back. I give that to Disasi when he's played right back. So maybe I should also do that to Jackson. So that would mean 5.5 again. But then we need another poll, ladies and gentlemen. So place in your vote for Jackson for Palmer for another couple of minutes, and then I'll make a new one for Nicholas Jackson because we are stuck between two with a 2v2. And we go to Armando Broja. And this is why I feel what all that's happened so far is just harsh, because Broja will get now a 3 probably. Gallagher got a 3.5, and everybody else got way too high of a rating, in my opinion, except Gusto. Because I think to say that only these 3 were poor is a ridiculous emphasis on this game, in my opinion. But moving to Broja, I have to be honest, I think he was poor. He was probably the worst player we had in the grand scheme of things. And that's the disappointing bit. Like I've said a few times that I think he deserves at least a few more chances, not just because Jackson's obviously played a lot and Broja hasn't. And I know Broja is still in a way coming back from injury a little bit. But do you see how Madueke is taking his chances and you compare that to what Broja is doing? And it's just not great. Like it's and I like him a lot, but you need to do a lot more than this, man. Like it just weren't really good enough. I mean, when I bring up some stats, my God, they don't look good, I tell you. Okay, the passing is maybe not the worst. It's 81%, 13 of 16. But 1 out of 6 dribbles. So then it's not even about like saying he's bad at dribbling. I'm not even sure that means that. It's more about holding the ball for way too long, like not releasing it when you should, and then you lose it in the end and then you have unsuccessful dribbles. Only won 4 duels. He's a big guy, big Albanian Noni. Like I know they had 3 centre backs and everything, and that is a difficult job against Luton centre backs for any striker. Like a lot of teams have struggled, but 4 duels, one in the air, 3 on the ground. It's just poor. It's really, really poor. That's not fair to Didier Jacko. I appreciate the super chat, right? But I didn't really. I went through the same rating as Dalmatian, and then 0.5 lower than the others. I'm not sure quite how unfair it is, but yeah, no, Villa did score.
Why are they calling you Lucifer as well?
I don't know. Apparently, someone in the chat earlier called me Lucifer because I am the devil. Apparently,
it's because you're being harsher there. I think that's probably why they didn't go.
I think it all started with my 4 for Disasi. That ruined everything. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to be harsh on Broja. I give him a 2. I don't really see how I give him any higher. to be honest, if someone said 1, I don't really see how I can disagree with that either. The only thing I can maybe say against, say, a 1 is it was difficult against 3 centre-backs and he had very little support, especially with how little of the ball we had in the grand scheme of things today. But there was also moments where Palmer could have played him through, Gusto could have squared it to him, Jackson could have squared it to him. Well, he could have had tap-ins, and he didn't get those, or been through on goal, and he didn't get those, so we didn't have a chance to either for him to miss it or score it and that to change anything. With those, maybe not his fault, but what he could control, he just didn't do anywhere near well enough, so I have to be harsh. That's what it is. You lot are way too harsh, really? I thought they're all too high. Maybe I should say 3, fair enough, but yeah. I'll say 2.5, just to not be quite as harsh, but yeah. Pice, I'll let you go first. Bro, yeah, what would you give him?
It was terrible. I can't lie, it was terrible. Oh god, I go like a 2. Honestly, I go what you went with initially. I think.
Okay,
it's really bad. Like, especially you're getting. I know, like, I do have some sympathies with him because of the injury, but it's not like my worry with the injury was that he would lose not his football ability, but more his pace. And I feel like he's still got his pace. He's still quick, because I see times like you can just see it when he's running, pressing and stuff like that, running down the line. He's still quick, and it's like he's got worse at football. I don't know how, but yeah, like just decision making as well. Like a couple of times where he had the ball and he probably should have just kept driving towards the goal and he played the pass early, or he like the first half was a couple of times like that, and I'm just like, I don't know, you just don't have confidence, does he? And that's difficult when you're a striker. So I do have some sympathies for him, but yeah, I'd go with 2 just because he was poor individually, I thought. And especially when you're starting for Chelsea, you're basically fighting for your future. Like, your future, you might not be here now because you've not done really much in front of goal or anything really, apart from the Fulham game. Since you've been injured, you've come back from injury, and Chelsea want a striker, that. In the back of your mind, Jackson's there and Kunku can play up front. Your time is probably going to be up, and that's really unfortunate because I like Broja.
If that injury doesn't happen, we're in a very different scenario. Imagine he plays pretty much every game last season.
Yeah, who knows what would have happened, and that's the nature of the business, unfortunately. So yeah,
it is.
And Chelsea board, they can use this. They can use this as an excuse to these games. They can be like, well, he's done nothing. Like, I'm at least adding some context to it. Chelsea will be like, they'll use these performances as a reason to sell him, probably. And it's like,
I still don't think he should be sold in January, but if he's sold in the summer and he doesn't improve until then
yeah, that's what I think will happen. Summer, maybe.
Yeah, there's not much you can add, really. Mo, 2.5 and 2 for Broja from us. What would you give him?
I'd agree with 2, and I thought the performance was horrific. I don't know what else to say, man. I even agreed with the sub, and I just think we executed the sub wrong. But I generally felt like Broja offered next to nothing today, and if that's the type of performances he puts out, he should not be touching the pitch. That's simple as, and that's how bad for me it was. And I rate him as a player. I don't know, and there's a lot of people in here already saying the same thing, but I do think that maybe potentially we should look at loaning him out so he can get consistent minutes and rebuild his confidence and rebuild the hunger and potential that we saw before the injury. And yeah, like Pice, I agree. I was worried about his pace going. His pace seemed fine, but his brain is not the same place right now. So something needs to change.
There you go. Fair enough. Dams, what would you give him?
Yeah, I have to agree with the boys, man. Yeah, 2. Just not good, man. It's a weird one because I haven't rated Broja like that ever. And honestly, I think the quicker we get rid of him, the better, to be honest with you. And yeah, bring in Ivan Toney, Osimhen, or
bro, you need to get Ivan Toney out your head. It's not,
bro. I'm obsessed, man. Even Watkins, bro. I'm telling you, man, baller. But they're all
he's
better
got to
than
cost
Broja.
as much as Osimhen is the problem.
Yeah, true. That's true. But no,
we're
honestly,
screwed in that department, man.
Yeah, true. We are.
We're
man,
going to have to pay an arm and a leg, no matter what happens.
Exactly. Regardless, but yeah, Broja's not the one, man. I'm sorry, he's not. I'll just
Yeah.
keep out of that. We just
At
didn't
the
do
moment,
anything
it
well today.
absolutely doesn't look like it, does it? We finished the Palmer poll. Unfortunately, just about 51%, but a 51% to the 8.5. So that's what we're going to give him. But I need to get this Jackson rating poll out there as well. So 5.5 and 6 before we quickly finish it off. And I really want to rattle this one through now. I just quickly want to react to one comment that I've seen here. Let me quickly get the stats page up, right? Get away from Broja. Right. And now highlight this comment that I saw here. No, that one. Broja was rated 5.7 on One Football. Don't really get how you lot rate people so lowly. Now, One Football, this is another app. Look at where they all are. 6.9, 6.9, 7.1, 7.1, 7.6, 7.4, 6.6 on this app even, 6.7. So that essentially means they are all 6.5 or 7. Like, how boring do you want a player rating stream to be? You can't just do it like a stats app does. It's a bit different to what we do. If all we did was the stats that the stats app show, then what's the point of the stream? We just go on the stats app. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same thing. But yeah, there you go. I understand where your comment does come from, I guess, to some extent. We get to the subs, but then again, should any subs even be rated? Because like in Nkunku, I can look it up quickly. But how many times did he touch the ball? It felt like twice in the whole game. So
We were crossing the ball to Nkunku up front. That should.
He had 4 touches. Do you know what I mean? And he came on after 62 minutes. How the flip do you end up giving him 4 touches? You might as well.
Can we get to the manager? Because I want to talk about this manager, bro. That's whatever.
That's what we get. That's what I mean. Like, let's not even waste time on these subs because what's the point?
Gilchrist gets a 20 ban, I swear, or something.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
20 and a half, I'll say.
Oh, that tackle, bro. Oh my god, that gave me
I
life.
deserves a 10. Like,
Mate,
just in
he's a
itself.
goat. I kept saying it. He's our Lord and Savior. Honestly, he really is. Yeah, and we only made those 4 subs. So he gets goat emoji.
yeah, I actually like it.
I'm a big fan of Africa, Chris. But yeah, let's get to Poch. Shall we put him down here with Poch, with Petrovic? Mo, you want to speak? Please speak.
Guys, I'm gonna be so harsh, man. I have to be. I know we won the game, but Poch gets a 2 from me, and I've been angry for a long time now. I'm not really liking the performances.
No.
The performances individually, collectively, it's not looking good. And the inconsistencies that we're now seeing is something that is more concerning when the performance is not even something for us to fall back on and say, actually, there's progress from a performance perspective. We are now inconsistent from a performance perspective, and it's starting to really worry me what he's doing to individual players as well. From playing them out of position to tactically just putting them in places where they are extremely vulnerable, to not using players to their best strength. There are certain red flags that are now starting to appear clear as daylight, and I have to say it. If this carries on, I generally don't see him here past his 2-year contract. If anything, he might not even last the year, but generally speaking, tactically, for me, a manager needs to he needs to take a lot of accountability. There's only so much you can follow on about, players are young and players are injured. There's only so much because the team has got more availability now than they did towards the earlier part of the season. But at least then you saw better performances. Now I'm looking at this team and I don't know what we're doing on that pitch. Something about it seems really off to me. And I feel like sometimes individuals are carrying us rather than actual tactical instruction that is enabling collectively how this team is playing to be something that we can at least rely on. But nope, right now, I'm going from game to game. And at the moment, I don't even know what to expect from the next game. That's how bad we're at. It's so bad that I can't even be optimistic.
Really?
I was more optimistic when we were losing, but at least the performances were good because there was something to rely on and say, okay, if we get these players fit, this can happen. But now I don't know what this is, man. I'm not happy.
The only thing I'll say is I feel like I know what we're going to get every game. It's going to be a bit shit. You know what I mean? So like, I get what you mean. It's unpredictable, but I know unless we're playing a really good team that will press us high, is really aggressive, our players are going to be crazy up for it. I know we're going to be average at best. And then it's about whether individuals win us the game or cost us the game. It's one of those two
Yeah.
options. But yeah, 2.
By the way, I'm not Pochard, but I'm very critical. Like I have to
Yeah.
be, because there's no way I can't. This squad is better than what freaking Tuchel and what flipping Potter had to deal with. And the brother, like, I'm sorry, but if the performances are looking very
it's not
suspect,
better than Tuchel's squad. Let's calm down.
it is better than Tuchel's squad by the time he was fired. That's what I'm saying, really, because that didn't fit Tuchel's either.
Yeah, I mean that may be fair enough, but the still the not lack of experience does have to be accounted for. But I get what you're saying. In the terms of the rating for Poch, I probably agree. Like I was thinking 2.5 ish. So yeah, why not? Like with the starting 11 again, it was kind of Jackson or Sterling. Otherwise, it was kind of set in stone anyway with the injuries we're having. To be honest. Well, then, and suppose if not Jackson on the wing, then Jackson instead of Broja up front, obviously. But the subs, they just were all wrong. And this is the second game in a row where he makes subs and kills us. Like that was he did against Palace. Obviously, we killed ourselves, I guess, with that mistake that we went to 1-1 just before the break. But tactically in the game, we were dominating, had no problem until Poch made those subs. And all of a sudden, we were scrambling and clutching for air. And now, essentially the same thing happened today. Like we was, okay, the beginning of the second half wasn't great either, but Luton still had nothing doing. Nothing. And as soon as he all of a sudden brings Nkunku on for Broja, we start to be the biggest bunch of clowns you'll ever see. And this is not Nkunku's fault, by the way. And then, I mean, I don't know if it's a misconception from within Poch that he's like, well, yeah, Madueke doesn't work hard, so I'm going to take him off and put Palmer on the wing. But all that meant is that Gusto had less support, and then he had to bring Gilchrist on at the end to give more wide defensive support because Palmer didn't do it. So all of what Poch really does is a bit wrong at the moment. Like it's a bit of a joke. And even like the fact that we all know Sanchez will come back and will come straight back into the team, where you're like, did you not see Sanchez before the injury? Like every game he passes it to the opponent, Petrovic never does. Petrovic might pass it out of play, but not to the opponent at least. It's so questionable. And still, I feel emotionally obliged to back him because he's the only one that understands selling Gallagher now is stupid. So this is how fucked our football club is. Do you know what I mean? Dams, I let Pies finish it off, so why don't you go? 2-2s, I'll just go along with the 2. Do you think it's too harsh? Do you think it's fair? What did you make of it today, I guess?
See, it's a weird one because if we end up winning the game 3-0, then I'm sure.
But it's his fault we didn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Up until 75 minutes, like it was honestly like almost perfect in a way. But that last 20 minutes, man, I can't not bat that off in any way. And yeah, Poch definitely effed up from the subs, man. Genuinely, like almost cost us the game. And I think he definitely got away with one today. And I'm in the same boat as Mo, where I'm not Poch out at all, but he definitely deserves to be criticised heavily. Despite the summer window, he's had and also the players that he has available to him as well at the same time. Obviously, we've had injuries, but I'm not using that excuse. Like we've been told Pochettino plays a good style of football. We've been told this, and this, that, Poch can do this, he can do this, he can adapt to different teams as well. But that's something I've heard and seen. But it's quite evident at PSG and even at Tottenham at times he was quite stubborn. So he definitely deserves heavy criticism. I'm still going to back him. Because realistically, I don't think another manager out there will get any more out of these players than he is currently. That's just my opinion. But
that's a shout.
I don't know. Like as in like ones that are available right now. Like if you go through the list, for example,
the amount of talent we've got on our squad is surely
yeah. Don't get wrong, the talent's there. I just still want to give him a bit of time though to fully make a judgment on him. At least not take a risk on him. Say after.
Honestly, I think it doesn't really matter who the manager is. The sport directors will screw whoever the manager is anyway. And the owners by not appointing a capable medical staff. So it doesn't really matter. And I said that on the podcast last year already. It doesn't really matter until the structure of the club isn't changed.
I mean, Poch could end up with a trophy this season. Well, that's just something we don't know at the moment. But he's got a very good chance of doing that. I'm sure if we win the Carabao Cup, I'm sure he'll win a lot of fans over. And
Even
I
Tuchel
understand
couldn't
why
win
people
the
would want to
FA
be
Cup,
Poch
mate.
out.
Don't
That's
get
fine.
ahead of yourself for a final against Liverpool, bro.
No, but you never know, bro. You never know. I mean, like, obviously, we want
How many finals has
what's best
Poch
for
ever won?
Chelsea.
Did he win a cup in France?
I don't know if
I think he might have won one cup, but
I know he's definitely won League
he's
One,
not got
but-
a great rating for final, great record in finals, has he? He's not gone to a
Yeah,
lot.
he hasn't got a great record, but yeah, I mean, I can understand why people are Poch out. Like, I'm not going to criticize them. That's fine. Like, there are reasons why people would want him out, but I still want to give a bit more time just to see what you can do. That's just how I feel. But my rating on him today, I'll probably give him a 3. To be honest with you.
All right, Pice, are you going to go even lower than a 2? What did you think of Poch today?
I think I'm gonna make it similar. I think I'll go 3 for the 3 goals. Not that there was any sort of like his
So,
blueprint.
why are you not going 1 for the 2 we conceded then? 3 minus 2 is 1.
You know what? That's actually quite true. No, I'll go 3. I'll go 3. I don't think the performance was good. I didn't really enjoy it, but you know,
So
big
why on
team,
earth are all these ratings so high then?
because individually the players were decent. It's just a collective issue, and I think that's the manager's fault. Unfortunately, I think he's pretty garbage. But we'll see what happens in January. We'll see what sort of improvements we can make. But again, you know, the market hasn't really fixed anything for us. To be honest with you, like it's just given us more problems and more players to try and gel into the squad. And yeah, it's a bit of a mess right now. I do agree with the structure of the you know the board and stuff is under question and the philosophy. But the game I think today was all in all, I think to get 3 points here when you know Newcastle lost here and Liverpool and Arsenal struggled, I think is good. I just
Did City lose to them as well? I'm imagining that.
did they lose to them or did they?
No, they won, didn't they?
Or
They
did
won, I
City
think,
scrape
later
a
on.
1-0? That's also possible.
I think City won, if I remember correctly. But let me just check
City
now.
scraped a 2-1. That's what it was.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
2-1. Yeah, but you know, that's what are the positives to take away from this apart from that we won? That's why I think Pochettino gets a low rating because you know again his in-game management, like Mo said, was just like I get he wants to try and Kunku up front, but Jackson looked pretty fucked. You know, towards the end of the game, yeah, he made that tackle late on, but that was really his last, you know, big dart backwards defensively. So I would have liked to see Kunku come on. You know, maybe on the left or bring Mudryk on because Mudryk worked hard and Mudryk could have given us a bit more of an outlet, someone to hit the ball down the line to at least. Keep Broja on. I know Broja played bad, but I would have just kept him on just because he's a body up there. He's tall and he makes sense. So,
or you at least put Jackson up front. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, or do that. You know, he kept the fact that's what I said in the chat. I was like, he kept Jackson left wing. I thought that was strange. You know.
Yeah.
But again, you know, same old thing, the shape of midfield, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'd just be repeating myself, to be honest with you. Yeah, nothing's really improving, but we'll see what happens. I'll give him a 3 for today and hope that we can have some consistent performances. But is he going to be the man to do that? I personally don't think so, but he's not getting sacked, is he, right now? So I guess we just have to hope we win and hope it gets better.
Exactly. That's kind of all we have left to do, isn't it? Wing, appreciate the super chat. He says, Jackson's a bowler. I won't let the fans lie to me. I agree with you that you shouldn't give up on him and that criticism shouldn't be as harsh as it has been by some fans that are throwing celebration parties because he's going to AFCON now. I do agree that that's not right and not fair either. But bowler is maybe a bit much. You know, hold your horses. But there you go. A 2.5 for Pochettino in the end. And yeah, at the end of the day, hey, it's another win. It took us a whole from 10th. What is my hair doing here, by the way? All right. Took us from 10th to 10th. So that's great. But I think we're only apparently 1 point behind Newcastle now. They probably
three
have
of United.
Yeah.
United,
Newcastle and United both do have games in hand on us, or one game in hand on us, though, so that could change things again. But
come on, Forest, let's go, Forest. Sorry,
exactly. The only problem is that Newcastle are only 9th as well. We lost 4-1 to them, mind you. Fucking hell.
Hey, we beat them in the League Cup, man. Don't forget that we beat them in the League Cup.
Yeah,
we got
how
our
much
revenge.
luck did that need, bro? How much luck did that need? Hey, bro,
I don't care. I'll take it.
Exactly. Hey, at the end of the day, as much as there was things to criticize and be annoyed by, and I would have much rather sat here with a 3-4-0 win without that ridiculous last 20 minutes and be buzzing all stream long. But it ended up how it ended up. Well, what can we do? At least we got a win. We've now got 8 wins, 4 draws, and 4 losses. Isn't that weird? Remember a few months ago, we had 4 wins, 4 losses, 4 draws? And now we didn't draw a single game since then, and have 4 losses more and 4 wins more. It's kind of interesting.
It's one or the other with us, isn't it? We don't do the whole draw thing. No more.
Literally. Goal difference of +3. Still better than Man United with goal difference of -4, but are still 3 points ahead of us. But, that's brilliant. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for watching. This has been a very long stream. So big shout out to my 3 wonderful guests as well. I do apologize, boys, for taking up so much of your time. Please do check out all of them down in the link down in the description below. Pice's website, londonsfirst.com, as well as his Twitter and, of course, Mo's Twitter. Mo, do you use your YouTube channel, really, or not?
No. Not at the moment, no. Don't worry.
Not at the moment. Mo will be back when he does use it again, and then we'll link it and then we'll send you over there. So for now, just check out his Twitter as well as for Damesh. You can see those links up on screen. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. That would be massively appreciated. Hit that like button. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and we'll see you next time.